Cereal manufacturer Kellogg's has announced a product recall due to concerns of consumers choking. Boxes of Kellogg's cornflakes chocolate flavour have been recalled because they may contain small hard lumps of food which had formed in the product. This makes the product unsafe to eat as the lumps could cause dental damage or act as a choking hazard. The recall has been applied to 450 grams packs of the chocolate flavour cornflakes, with all date codes from the 6th of December 2024 to the 28th of April 2025. Consumers that have bought the product have been advised not to eat it and to return the pack for a full refund. No other Kellogg's products have been impacted. Meanwhile, European food importer and distributor Lithuanica UK has recalled a meat product after Listeria monocytogenes were discovered. The recall applies to 400-gram packs, although the weight can vary, of Davida, Rocchio, Messine, grinded pork tongue and ear rolls that feature a best before date of 23rd of May 2024, 30th of May 2024, 6th of June 2024, or 13th of June 2024. Lithuanica UK has issued point-of-sale notices in all stores that sell products, warning people that purchase the roll not to do it and instead return it to the store where they bought it for a refund. On the notice, Lithuanica UK noted that no other Davida products have been impacted and apologised for the inconvenience caused. People that consume products contaminated with Listeria monocytogenes can experience flu-like symptoms such as a high temperature, muscle aches or pains, chills, feeling of being sick and diarrhea. In rare cases, the infection can be more severe and lead to serious complications, including meningitis. People over 65 years of age, pregnant women and their unborn babies less than 1 month old, and people with weakened immune systems are most vulnerable to Listeria infections. Suppliers implicated in a recent undercover investigation that claimed to have found sick, dying and dead hens in RSPCA-assured farms hit out at the accusations levelled at their businesses. Campaigners from the Animal Justice Project AGP enter a number of farms supplying major supermarkets such as Tesco, Asda and Marks & Spencer between December 2023 and February 2024. The group claimed to have found distressed and diseased birds in all the farms they visited, scenes of rundown and neglected facilities, and numerous deceased hens scattered around sheds. Producers named by the campaign group included Glenrath Farms, the Happy Egg Company, and Home Farm, a supplier to Bumble Whole Foods. Sean Barr's Animal Justice Project campaigner said, "Today's modern egg industry in Britain unveils a heartbreaking truth. Sick, dying and the live hanging egg-laying hens crammed by thousands into huge factory-style sheds designed for maximum production. Our investigation shines light on the high welfare myths. We hope it will help consumers see beyond the glossy egg packaging so that they can choose more ethical plant-based foods in their diet." Ian Campbell, managing director of Glenrath Foods, has said that they've already contacted the police to report the break-in to their farm and that independent auditors from the RSPCA, BEIC and the National Farmers Union had already visited the farm in response to AGP's claims, all of which found no signs of low standards. Responding to claims that central nesting areas had been blocked off, Campbell explained this was common practice throughout the industry. The entrances to nesting areas are closed electronically during the night to prevent chickens from sitting on eggs. If you're going to criticise how we work, you've got to know what you're talking about. A spokesperson for the Happy Egg Company said the care and well-being of its hens was a top priority and that its agricultural team runs a robust schedule of regular farm visits and spot checks from third parties to ensure welfare standards are met. As soon as we were shown this footage featuring one of our farms, we launched an immediate review. Our team assessed the farm and both the RSPCA and BEIC have since carried out independent and unannounced assessments where the farm was found to be fully compliant with industry regulations and best practices. The RSPCA had previously visited the farm only 2 weeks prior and has found no cause for concern at either visit. Bumble Whole Foods said that previous audits of egg supply at Home Farm did not raise significant concerns. Footage from the AGP had prompted the company to take action. Consequently, we have decided to temporarily suspend the procurement of eggs from Home Farm for M&S products until we are confident that all identified issues have been appropriately addressed. Our plan includes conducting a comprehensive re-audit of the farm, both internally and through the BEIC Alliance certification process. The resumption of our partnership with Home Farm will depend on their ability to demonstrate adherence to our stringent welfare standards. Tesco has recalled a range of pickles because individual jars may contain pieces of glass. Branded as Tesco Sandwich Pickle, the recalled product is sold in 295-gram containers, features a batch code of 3254, and has a best before date of the 11th of September 2025. The retailer issued the recall notice because the possible presence of glass means that the product is unsafe to eat, and has informed customers that bought the pickle to return it to any Tesco store for a full refund, even if they have not got a receipt. We have been made aware that a specific date batch code of Tesco sandwich pickle may contain small pieces of glass. Therefore, this product could pose a safety risk if consumed. Tesco apologises to our customers for any inconvenience caused. Meanwhile, Aldi is recalling 2 different varieties of steak because of a labelling error, which means that they possess incorrect use-by dates. The Ashfield Grill branded Chinese pork loin steaks and barbecue pork loin steaks are both sold in 500-gram packs and have a best before date of the 22nd of June 2024. In response, Aldi is displaying point-of-sale notices in all retail stores that sell the products, telling customers not to eat the products due to them being unsafe. Customers are asked to return this product to their nearest store, where a full refund will be given. We apologise that this product did not meet our normal high standards, and thank you for your cooperation. A surge in demand for mashed potato has prompted the opening of the UK's biggest mash factory in Lincolnshire. Potato processor Branston has worked with supermarket chain Tesco to create a new mash factory at its home in Lincolnshire, supported by the creation of 80 new jobs. Branston has also collaborated with Tesco food chefs to improve existing recipes and turn them into gourmet dishes. Commenting on the plans, Tesco prepared produce buying manager Alex Edwards said Britain's millions of MASH fans should be very excited by the news, as our chefs have worked with Branston to excite existing recipes. What we're planning to do is to take the MASH eating experience to the next level and make it more of a gourmet food that you'd find in an upmarket restaurant. Demand for potato products peaked as the world descended into COVID-19 lockdowns and people had more time on their hands for scratch cooking. However, lockdown passed and people began returning to work. Demand for pre-made products began to rise. Ready-made mash became a go-to staple as consumers struggled with the cost of living crisis, and Tesco's has capitalised on this surge in popularity by offering gourmet-inspired dishes. Branston's new mash processing factory will offer a complete farm-to-fork traceability for its products. Chief Executive Jim Windle added, "We are proud and very excited to have brought the latest world-class food manufacturing technology alongside restaurant quality recipe design to uplift and elevate one of Britain's best loved foods. Mash is one of Britain's favourite comfort foods that needed a 21st century makeover to delight and inspire customers across the new range." Last year, Tesco shoppers bought more than 1 million more packs of fresh, ready-made mash than in 2022, with the classic British staple proving very popular during the cost of living crisis. While regular mashed potato was by far the most popular variety, sweet potato mash is currently creating the biggest stir, with demand rocketing by more than 100% in 2023 versus 2022. James Eade is the founder of Earth and Wheat, a subsidiary of his family's business, Signature Flatbreads. At only 24 years old, Eade has, through his enthusiasm and creativity, challenged the family business and also the wider food industry by rethinking how to tackle food waste. In The Talent, they caught up with James Eade to find out how he has gone about encouraging and harnessing the creativity within his business. Innovation can be seen as the outcome or application of creative thinking. As leaders, we therefore have a critical role in encouraging those in our teams to always be thinking creatively and so seeking to continuously improve. Innovation is, in my view, the key to success, whether this relates to developing new products or improving processes. I think everyone has creativeness in them, and I see it as my role to empower everyone to speak up and share their ideas and opinions. Great minds colliding is what leads to new and innovative ways of working. It is well researched and documented that our minds are at their most creative and free thinking when we are children. Those with small children will recognise this when struggling to keep up with a child's vivid imagination when they are playing or making things. As we develop into adulthood, most of us lose a lot of our ability to be truly creative, partly through time and other pressures, and partly because our brains become filled with the rules and boundaries which help us navigate the complex world we live in. Eade understands this and reflected on its impact. I recognise that red tape and politics can potentially stifle great ideas. Something may appear a wacky idea, but could ultimately be scalable. You never will know unless you take risks and let ideas evolve. Creative thinking is not something most of us can simply turn on and off at will. Even the most creative minds need to have the right environment and put themselves into the right mindset to allow their creativity to flourish. It can be difficult, for example, following a conversation or meeting concerned with detailed facts and analysis, to immediately switch off into creative modes. We need to block out time and create a break from our everyday work environment to free our minds
from detail and from being critical. It can sometimes help to go off site to create a physical break from our routine. In the case of managing teams and others, we need to give individuals permission or confidence to be creative, providing a safe space for them to think beyond their everyday work and without fear of criticism. Being a relatively young company, Eid has been able to build this into the business ethos and way of working. I like to encourage autonomy and freedom of discussion. We hold regular workshops and forums with different stakeholders, which are a great way of gaining new insights and ideas. For example, we ran an anonymous idea forum using sticky notes just to generate as many ideas as we could. We didn't evaluate any of the outputs at this stage. When we reconvened the group to explore the valid ones further, we still didn't identify the originators of the ideas. This makes people feel safe to put forward their ideas. Eid explained more about the opportunities they create for ideas generation. We convene what we call blue sky sessions to encourage the really crazy ideas, as well as less crazy ones. We will hold these as and when, but at least once a quarter. In addition to these, we also meet fortnightly to refresh ideas at a much shorter cadence. Of course, not all ideas are viable to be taken forward for a variety of reasons. They may not all be practical or in line with the business's strategy, some may not be financially viable, or the business may not have the capability or resources to deliver them. There does therefore need to be a process of careful evaluation, but even at this stage, Eid is careful not to simply discard ideas. I think this should be trialled. Sometimes we have to take risks to let an idea evolve. A wacky idea may just be scalable, but you'll never know until you trial it. That said, there does need to be a well-defined process for determining when an idea is not going to succeed and when it's time to pull the plug. This can be a hard decision if significant funds, time and effort have already been spent nurturing a new idea, especially if people have become too invested in its success. In such a situation, 2 years ago, we decided to implement a more sophisticated website. It meant choosing new developers. It was a massive project. Unfortunately, the developers let us down and we were forced to have to write it off and start again. Knowing when to stop is important. Right from the start of the project, we set in place KPIs, key performance indicators, and determine how we are going to monitor progress without overly impacting the delivery of the project. Inevitably, when introducing new products or ways of working,
there will be resistance. Market disruption requires courage and conviction, even within the family business. Eid encountered some initial pushback from within the business. Questions were asked whether this was the right strategy, with concerns expressed that customers might look to downgrade to wonky bread, therefore undermine the core business. Selling wonky bread at the same price point as their standard lines negated this concern. Some ideas may not be instantly understood or accepted, either by those needing to bring the idea into reality or by consumers. One of our biggest challenges right early on
was explaining to consumers that wonky bread is a thing. Most people would not be aware of the potential waste from the product being out of spec. We did also get some early complaints and comments as to why we were selling our wonky bread at the same price as our premium breads. We needed to explain one advantage to consumers is that because we are selling to them direct, it is fresher and so has a long life. Eid and his team must have sold the concept well, because when Earth and Wheat first launched, they achieved their annual target for online subscribers in just 4 weeks. Harnessing creativity is not just about coming up with a single idea and then sitting back and watching it hopefully come to fruition. It's an ongoing process where everyone in the business is constantly encouraged to come up with new ideas and ways of working, whether they are radical or incremental changes. The danger with this approach can be that a business can easily lose focus on delivering what it already is successful at in favour of chasing the next bright and shiny thing. He is keen to continue to push the boundaries of his business, but is also clear on maintaining focus. It's about understanding the brand vision and mission and sticking to that. This helps to ensure we put our ideas that are in line with brand. We could easily start looking at how to tackle food waste in the home, for example, but this is not our mission. We are focused on tackling waste at the point of production, he concluded. I'm sure we will look at with interest to see how Earth and Wheat develops in the coming years and how Eid and his business ventures grow and succeed.
James Eid is the founder of Wonky and Surplus subscription service Earth and Wheat, a brand owned by Signature Flatbreads. James headed up the launch of the world's first Wonky bread box in March 2021 as part of the company's mission to reduce food waste and help save the planet. A fourth-generation baker, he started rescuing baked goods from his own family bakery in Hertfordshire, which would have otherwise been because it does not meet strict size, shape, or even colour standards set by retailers. Earth and Wheat sold 10,000 boxes in its first 6 weeks and has since partnered with other independent bakeries to help them reduce their waste too. The brand has so far saved more than 6,600 tonnes of wonky or surplus food, being binned and donated 300,000 meals to UK food charities.
Derbyshire beer maker Buxton Brewery has had its future secured after it was sold to investors. Buxton Brewery Company Limited and Axe Edge Bar Limited appointed Rick Harrison and Howard Smith from Interpath Advisory as joint administrators on the 20th of May 2024, with the business then sold immediately in a pre-packed deal to Happy Place Investors Limited. The company, which was founded in 2009, produces around 3,500 litres of beer per day and 30 different varieties. It supplies several supermarkets and pub chains throughout the UK, as well as exporting overseas while its operations for tap rooms and bars in Buxton, Derbyshire. In a post on social media on the 3rd of May, Buxton Brewery said it was looking at all options to secure the future of the business, before blaming low consumer confidence and lack of business support from the UK government and COVID for its struggles. However, the brand remains strong and relevant, and the management team are determined to find a solution and are looking forward to announcing further developments as and when they are available. The deal that has now been agreed safeguards the future of the brewery and its tap rooms and bars, as well as ensuring the continued employment of its approximately 15 members of staff who have transferred to the new owners. Rick Harrison, Managing Director at Interpath and Joint Administrator, commented, "Independent craft brewers have had to navigate a number of headwinds in recent times, not least the long-term impact of the pandemic as well as the impact of inflation on raw material costs. We're therefore pleased to have concluded this transaction, which safeguards the future of this well-regarded craft ale brand and its collection of popular tap houses in Buxton. We wish the purchaser and all of the team at Buxton Brewery all the best for the future." Global consultations on PFAS are underway, but did you know they may soon shake up how you maintain your food processing machinery? Over the last few years, the spotlight on PFAS and its impact on human health has seen headlines linking forever chemicals with cardiovascular disease and cancer. Short for perfluoroalkyl substances,
are a large class of thousands of synthetic chemicals that contain one of the strongest bonds in organic chemistry, the carbon-fluorine bond. This makes them incredibly durable, and it's one of the reasons why they are so widely used in society, including within food production. As the European Environment Agency states, they are stable under intense heat, and many are also surfactants, and are used, for example, as water and grease repellents. Probably one of the most talked about areas when it comes to PFAS and food is packaging. But PFAS can also be found in our industrial machinery too, from manifolds to valves and pipes, and even within the lubricants we use to maintain equipment. Broadly, PFAS is everywhere, and over time it can leak into the soil, air and water,
eventually making its way into our bodies. More than 10,000 PFAS have been identified by researchers so far, although there may be more. Due to the sheer number of PFAS chemicals and several other variables such as their varied presence and other unknown exposure time, it makes measuring their influence difficult. As their nickname Forever Chemicals suggests, they are also extremely persistent, capable of remaining in the environment for generations. This means that the intensity at which we're exposed to them is ever increasing. Their use can result in an environmental burden that cannot easily be reversed. Sue Bullock, Head of Chemical Compliance, Stewardship and Sustainability at TSG Consulting, has said. This, coupled with concerns and uncertainties regarding their tendency to bioaccumulate and potential to impact human health, has placed them in the spotlight. These substances were broadly introduced in the 1940s, so it's unknown the full effect of all
molecules longer term. Although the European Commission has stated just 0.5 milligrams of PFAS in drinking water can be harmful. Gareth Proctor, Senior Product Manager for lubricants manufacturer ROCOL, added, Vikash Kumar, Program Leader at research and consulting firm ChemVisar,
agreed lightening PFAS to cigarettes. From day one, it's hard to identify any issues, but after a while, their toll will become apparent. Concerned by the potential impact, manufacturers have started to replace certain PFAS with other kinds of PFAS or with fluorine-free substances. It is for this reason that we've seen 5 EU member states calling for an overall ban on all PFAS last year, deeming it an uncontrollable risk. Since Brexit, the UK has its own regulations around PFAS, with a ban on PFOA and its salts with a few exemptions, and certain perfluorinated Chilean substances. However, for food and food contact materials, there are currently no specific regulations in the UK. Still, if the EU decides to press ahead with the universal restriction proposal, it will undoubtedly have a wide-reaching impact. Within the EU proposal, food-grade lubricants are mentioned specifically. Getting prepared for a transition, lube manufacturer ROCOL made the decision to move its UK manufactured food lube products to a PFAS-free formulation. This will join its product range, which currently hold ISO 21469 certification, as well as halal, kosher, vegan, and
NSH1 approvals and accreditations. While most of its food lube products have always been PFAS-free, this change has affected 6 formulations which have been updated without compromising their performance. For some applications, PFAS chemicals are vital and irreplaceable due to the chemical inertness of the final product and their resistance to specific environments. However, that said, there are definitely some applications where PFAS can be eliminated with no negative effects. For example, our food lube range, we did very extensive testing and customer trials and saw no negative impact in the final product or application by removing the components. Change from ROCOL,
initiated in April 2024, will mean that a lubricants producer will reduce its amount of forever chemicals, reaching the environment by an estimated 425 kilograms per year. To highlight the new offering, the company's food lube statement has been amended with the additional claim that they do not contain added PFAS. While some have managed to find ways around PFAS containing materials, it won't be easy for everyone. There aren't many alternatives that can perform as well as PFAS can, and as Kumar referenced, it's likely to cost a pretty penny. Ultimately, it will increase the system cost. The question is who will bear that cost now and in the future. Bullock concurred, saying a changeover won't straightforward. Many PFAS substances have unique properties, and in some cases they cannot be easily substituted. When these uses are important for safety or society, a universal ban would have significant implications. The definition included in the EU's proposed broad restriction would apply to many thousands of substances. To further complicate things, differences in regulatory approaches are likely to mean that substances and products will be affected in different ways between the markets. In addition, risk assessments around alternatives will need to be investigated further to avoid, as a health and safety executive HC report put it, regrettably substitution. Despite its success in reformulation, the difficulties in replacing PFAS did hit ROCOL. As Proctor explained, there are some applications that are particularly challenging and that still require PFAS-containing products, as alternative technologies are still in development. Whilst COL has begun in its PFAS-free journey, the company has emphasised that individual efforts are not enough. In a statement issued to the press, the organisation said it is imperative for the industry to recognise its collective responsibility in mitigating PFAS contamination and safeguarding the environment, and this requires a concerted effort to prioritise transparency, innovation and collaboration. Adding to this, Bullock said it will be important for PFAS regulation to be considered from a global perspective, as different markets are approaching it in different ways. Companies with an international footprint may have to navigate various requirements in the coming years, so a holistic strategy will be needed. Although specific PFAS regulation in the UK may be limited to date, the HSE NAS said further restrictions should be considered. Being a ubiquitous chemical, this may or may not impact food manufacturers. Meanwhile, DEFRA has created a PFAS subgroup in the Chemicals Stakeholder Forum to help inform policy development. This group has also said it has started to identify priorities for UK regulations around,
which will include proposals for restrictions. Speaking with Leatherhead Food Research's principal consultant, Mark Moss, on the regulatory landscape, he said it remains to be seen what the specific regulations for PFAS in food and beverage will look like in the UK and the EU. At present, thousands of comments submitted during the public consultation on the proposed universal restriction are being evaluated. While the schedule beyond September 2024 is not transparent, if the ECHA finalises its opinion and the European Commission adopted
proposed the restrictions as envisaged and with little delay, the restrictions could start to come into effect in 2027, possibly even late 2026. Meanwhile, the UK's Health and Safety Executive is considering a more targeted approach. Considering the future of the UK regulatory landscape, Bullock said this could include, for example, an authorisation process that would allow continued use of PFAS as processing aids in circumstances where release can be minimised until alternatives are available. New challenges for food manufacturers would include figuring out where PFAS are present in raw materials, processing aids, equipment and products. This can be highly complex because there are hundreds, if not thousands, of PFAS substances in regular use, and reliable information from suppliers and authorities is often limited. While the presence of PFAS may be obvious in some applications, such as non-stick equipment, other uses, for instance in packaging, specialty lubricants, or sensing equipment components, are often less clear. Identifying where PFAS are present intentionally and where PFAS are present through, for example, contamination is itself a major challenge. Testing might be needed, and this requires expertise. Sourcing PFAS-free alternatives will involve time, costs, and often trade-offs. Removing PFAS contamination could also be a significant cost for industry. So what should manufacturers do now? Pollux suggests a thorough and detailed look at products, manufacturing processes, and supply chains. Ask your suppliers for robust information about PFAS in the products you buy. Develop a careful, well-informed approach to testing to check for PFAS in products. Based on this, you'll be able to plan for compliance with regulations and communicate more intelligently with consumers and other stakeholders. This will help ensure efforts to remove PFAS are focused and effective. It will also enable thoughtful and constructive engagement with policymaking. There will be a high level of regulatory activity in this space over the coming months and years, so it's important to know your stance and keep appraised of the situation. Moss echoed these sentiments. While there are no specific UK regulations for PFAS levels in food products at present, general requirements of food safety apply. It may be advisable to factor PFAS into contaminant safety analysis routines sooner rather than later. The second Farm to Fork Summit saw Downing Street announce a series of measures to support farmers and grow the UK's agri-food sector. So here are the key takeaways. The support unveiled at 2024 Farm to Fork Summit includes a new blueprint for growing the UK fruit and vegetable sector, setting out how industry and UK government can work together to increase domestic production and drive investment. The plan involves ensuring the sector has access to affordable and sustainable energy and water, cutting red tape to make it easier to build glass houses, and new investments into innovation. The latter will include making up to £10 million available to help English orchard growers access equipment, technology and infrastructure to British fruit farming. The summit also saw the publication of the inaugural Food Security Index, which has been introduced to help monitor short-term trends across the UK and strengthen the nation's resilience. Support for wet weather. Among the challenges currently facing farmers has been wet weather, and the summit saw the UK government promise further support to manage this. Alongside its previous commitment to extend the Farming Recovery Fund, it will be introducing temporary adjustments for farmers and land managers who have had trouble in carrying out the requirements of the environmental land management schemes as a result of wet conditions. The AHDB estimates that 15% less land will be planted with wheat this year, and an estimated 558,000 hectares of land, 12% of the British total, will remain fallow, up from 311,000 hectares last year. There will also be £75 million to support internal drainage boards to accelerate recovery from the winter 2023 to 2024 storms and provide opportunities to modernise and upgrade assets that benefit and support resilience for farms and rural communities. Precision breeding also announced that was the launch of the latest round of genetic improvement networks. This will see up to £15 million in funding over the next 5 years to improve breeding research. Rebecca Laughton, horticulture campaign coordinator at the Land Workers Alliance, said that the additional spending will be helpful, but dismissed the money promised for the breeding research. While we welcome this additional spending, we still believe that a horticultural strategy is necessary to create a roadmap for the development of the horticultural sector that will give growers the confidence to invest in the future. We can't, however, support the investment of £15 million into a genetic improvement network. Instead, we urge the government to look beyond the attraction of technological fixes, such as large glass houses, automation and genetic improvements, and to invest in new entrant training, basic infrastructure and equipment, and fair distribution systems, which would make our UK horticultural sector truly resilient. Supply chain fairness. Further action was also promised around supply chain fairness, with the UK government stating it will produce new regulations specifically focused on fresh produce and eggs. These rules will see that there are written agreements between producers and buyers of these commodities, with similar regulations for the pig sector to come as soon as possible. To oversee the enforcement of fair dealing regulations, an agricultural supply chain adjudicator has also been appointed. Cold storage improvements. Work will also be explored to support new long-term cold storage for crops in the UK, enabling UK consumers to enjoy out of season produce, alongside the launch of £15 million Farmgate Waste Fund on the 31st of May 2024. Animal welfare and abattoirs. Other pledges include the launch of a new endemics disease scheme with more than £72 million funding, and an infrastructure grant for laying hens with more than £20 million of funding as part of the Animal Health and Welfare Pathway. In addition, £3 million has been promised to support new and mobile abattoirs through the Farming Investment Fund. This builds on the Small Abattoir Fund, which opened last year to boost the sustainability and efficiency of red meat and poultry smaller abattoirs across England. Whilst the National Farmers Union NFU President Tom Bradshaw has welcomed the announcements, he stressed the need for immediate support. His cautionary words follow a survey issued by the NFU in the previous weeks, which showed farmer confidence at a record low. It was good to return to number 10 today to see and hear the Prime Minister champion British food production, putting it at the top of the national political agenda. Food security is national security. Many of today's announcements are extremely welcome, particularly those long-term strategic ambitions around the launch of a UK Food Security Index and measures to boost the production of more British fruit and vegetables. We are pleased that the government has taken on board our calls for a bigger and more accessible replacement for the EU Fruit and Veg Aid scheme, and a commitment to legislate to improve contractual relationships. But we cannot forget that our members that experienced the wettest 18 months since 1836, including devastating flooding, and many are facing an acute short-term crisis. The NFU's recent confidence survey revealed just how tough it is out there currently. The reality is that some farmers and growers believe that they may not survive long enough to benefit from today's announcements. He concluded that the NFU will be continuing to engage with ministers on further details needed for immediate relief, adding that core standards for food imports also need to be part of the long-term offer. While food price inflation fell to 4% in March 2024, its lowest rate since November 2021, total production costs have increased by 9.2% on average over the year to March 2024. Although selling prices rose on average by 4.3%, smaller to medium-sized food and drink manufacturers reported very marginal gains, according to the latest FDF State of the Industry report. This is likely to be an indicator of their limited bargaining power, with retailers with their own label not benefiting from brand loyalty. For the year to March 2025, many food and drink manufacturers believe their costs will rise further by an anticipated 2.1%, with their selling prices expected to increase by 1.1%. Over the last 4 years, costs have been rising for producers at a faster pace than retail prices, meaning that manufacturers have had to absorb a share of the cost hikes, resulting in dwindling investment as businesses divert those funds to day-to-day operations. Other pressures, including regulatory burdens, geopolitical conflict, and extreme weather conditions, have contributed to the big dip in UK food and drink investments. Compared with other areas of manufacturing, which saw investment grow by 5%, food and drink manufacturing investment has fallen by 30% since 2019. Labour shortages haven't helped, as they've had a knock-on effect on efficiency and wages. The FDF estimates that the average pay rise in the industry was 6% over the year to March. This was above the expectation held a year ago when manufacturers were anticipating average rises of 5.4% for this period. A total of 42% of businesses offered pay rises in the range of 4.1 to 6% and 23% in the 2.1 to 4% range. Over the coming year, industry expects pay to increase by another 4.7%. Moreover, although the report found that more than half of manufacturers have seen a higher output at 63% over the last year and 3/4 at 72%, expect this to rise over the next one. The FDF is warning that poorly designed and/or implemented regulation has the ability to undo these gains. It specifically cites GB-wide not for EU labelling as a major challenge, estimating this to cost industry as much as £250 million per annum. It also referenced the Border Target Operating Model BTOM, which came into effect on the 30th of April 2024 as a costly hurdle. Crucial details on fees were announced just weeks before its rollout, and the FDF says SMEs are likely to be disproportionately impacted by the government's U-turn to charge per item. Manufacturers have also expressed concerns on delays, the lack of clear government communication, and the effectiveness of the phytosanitary inspection service. Similar concerns over extended producer responsibility have also been raised, predicted to cost £1.7 billion. But with no fees set by government yet, businesses have been left with another black hole in their budgets for 2025. The report found that the mounting pressures are requiring businesses to restructure, with 43% of SMEs and 60% of large businesses in food and drink planning to reorganise operations. At least 40% of respondents intend to keep their investment expenditure on R&D, plant and machinery, skills and training and buildings unchanged, and more than 40% aim to increase it. Although these figures may seem encouraging, the FDF has warned that against the backdrop of persistent declines in industry's investment for the past 4 years, intentions for investment are subdued and unlikely to return to pre-pandemic levels anytime soon. The FDF is calling on government to help unlock higher levels of private sector investment to safeguard the UK's long-term food security. Investment in our sector is down by a third compared with 2019, and our State of Industry report has revealed that around half food manufacturers have no intention of increasing their investment levels this year, said Bal Dut, FDF's Director for Sustainability and Growth. If we are to build a sustainable and resilient food supply chain which supports the economy and feeds the nation, we need a government to work with us to help foster a climate which encourages greater capital expenditure and investment in innovation. Our members, particularly the mid-sized businesses, continue to face some more uncertainty caused by labour shortages and the impact of poorly designed and implemented regulations. This is having dire unintended consequences for businesses by adding costly and unnecessary burdens to supply chains. Well-honed communication skills are key for food business leaders to succeed. Psychology of language expert Fliz Wingrove explores the biggest mistakes that we make when communicating and the secrets to getting it right. So the biggest mistake growing up was told to speak to people how I would wish to be spoken to, which on the face of it is great advice. It engenders empathy and shows a willingness to connect. Sadly, no, it's one of the worst pieces of advice and one of the biggest mistakes that we all make communications-wise, whether it is in the boardroom or on the shop floor, because when you speak to people how you want to be spoken to, you're firmly overlaying your personal preferences, filters and biases on them, which is rarely a comfortable fit. It's the equivalent of getting off the Eurostar, stepping a foot on French soil, shouting loudly and slowly in English, and thus getting frustrated when the person you're speaking to doesn't understand what you're saying to them. Just imagine how much more powerful it would be for you to take responsibility for your message landing and instead speak to the person or people you're communicating with how they would wish to be spoken to. Think of it as learning their language. So how do we achieve this? The onus is on us. The first thing we all need to really take on board is that good communication and making sure our message lands as we intend is wholly our responsibility, 100% ours. And taking that the responsibility is not just the right thing to do, but it's also a smart move commercially because it avoids the potential for misunderstanding, miscommunication, or allowing any missteps. Instead, the person you're speaking with, the team you're briefing, or the recipients of your email feel confident, they fully understand whatever the objective may be, and they're empowered to be brilliant, productive, and efficient. Get really good at it, and you'll often find that you're the most compelling and magnetic person in the room, drawing the very best people to your side and keeping them. Your truth is not the truth. The second point to really take on board is that each and every one of us is perfectly unique. We look at the world through our own stained glass window, sunglasses, and each and every pane of glass alters how we see the truth of any message. Those panes are shaped and coloured by our own individual experiences, by the cultural paradigm we grew up in, lived experiences, and the preferences and truths we've learned since birth. Two individuals looking at the same large diamond in front of them, for example, would see its colour, shape, and how it refracts the light. They would each experience a vastly different view, depending on whether they're standing and based on their personal perception. Both are right and absolutely their truth, but it's not the truth. And it's essential that we all really understand this distinction. So next time a message, whether an email, conversation, briefing, letter, etc., triggers you, pause and ask yourself if what you're perceiving this is the truth or your truth.
Storytelling. We're all primed to tell ourselves stories. It's just how the brain evolved to keep us safe, to predict someone's intent, to judge what they might mean, and to sense what they may come next. But this ability to storytell also doesn't come from a completely neutral place. It's coloured and flavoured by our own experiences, our self-image, and the hundreds of filters that we each run. So check in with yourself about that too. Does this message really mean that your team member is being unhelpful?
Or your line manager disapproves of the decision you've made? Or are you telling yourself a story about it that might not have any basis in truth? And it's well worth considering this first before you respond. Assuming their intent will absolutely impact your response, and a perfectly neutral, albeit potentially clumsy message delivered that sees a defensive or negative response will undoubtedly lead to a negative exchange where one might never have been required. Individual preferences. Added to the potential minefield of preferences and filters, we have one of the most potentially catastrophic if you get it wrong distinctions, and that's the density and depth of detail that we require before we feel safe to complete a task. We're divided into 4 camps: the biggest picture why people, The what people who need a framework around the task what, but no more. The how people who want to know the tools needed to deliver success, and the what if people who are the most detailed and want to model the response to every potential hurdle. Each is powerful and necessary to a team, but when a why person briefs a what if it'll likely feel sparse in detail, far too top line, and will leave the recipient with limited understanding of what success looks and feels like, let alone how to get there. Ditto, a what if briefing a why person can feel like a tsunami of content, and it can be impossible for that recipient to pick out the important pieces of information. In both cases, this isn't just a missed opportunity or a failed briefing, it's a cause of genuine stress, psychological, mental and emotional, and a massive cause of mental disease and poor productivity in the workplace. What's next? Miscommunication, misunderstanding, and a misalignment of styles is the most common cause of disconnect. Effective communication is not just a nice-to-have or tick-box exercise, it's essential in keeping the very best people by your side and for operations to continue running smoothly. In a recent study, 50% of respondents admitted that poor communication increased their stress levels, and almost a quarter considered looking for alternative employment because of it. It's vital that you take the time to recognise what works for you, communication-wise, and that you bring an awareness to your personal preferences. Once you have those in mind, get curious about them in the people around you, and start to consider what they might need from you and how you can pivot your message to best land for them. Think about where you are, where they are, and how you can more easily fill the gap between you both. And when it comes to briefings, if you're not sure of someone's preference for detail or you're speaking to a group of people, keep in mind the structure marketers use for websites. Start with a compelling headline message, move into the chunky paragraph of more context, add the flower or 5 bullet points of detail, and then give them the equivalent of click here for more information that you'd see at the end of the page. People will self-select out when they've had sufficient information, and you'll be able to meet the needs of every person you're communicating with.
Armed with the knowledge about the biggest communication mistake as well as these 4 secrets to success, you're absolutely on the path to revolutionising the conversations you have, whether one-to-one or one-to-many, on email, on the phone, or in person. They'll gift you the ability to be your most authentic and empowered self, ensuring the person you're communicating with feels seen, heard, and fully understood. It's the ultimate win-win.
Shikin founders Palm and Satvinder Bains have mentioned about their long-standing commitment to the creation of authentic Asian plant-based dishes and how they grew from a kitchen startup to build a multi-million-pound business and a state-of-the-art production facility. The food manufacturing journey started more than 20 years ago, but a number of different circumstances finally led them to establish Shikin during the COVID pandemic in 2020. Satvinder and I have been vegetarians for over 30 years, but I first discovered the true potential of alternative proteins while travelling around Asia with my old job at Sony around the turn of the century. During a trip, my colleagues took me to a restaurant where I was amazed and inspired to see all these different plant-based proteins on the menu. I could not believe that the meal I was enjoying didn't contain meat, and it wasn't long until I organised a trip to Asia to meet with manufacturers that supplied this restaurant. Over the next 2 years, we worked together to develop our own product, and in 2003, we launched a plant-based chicken breast under the brand Love Foods. Shortly after launching Love Foods, we secured a listing in Summerfield supermarkets in the UK, but when Summerfield was bought out by Co-op, our contract was terminated. In response, Satvinder and I decided to pursue other opportunities, but retained ownership of the intellectual property for our alternative chicken protein. In the interim period between losing the listing with Summerfield and founding Shikin, I worked for a multinational food manufacturer, enabling me to develop extensive commercial knowledge and build relationships across the industry in the UK, Ireland, and across Europe. Meanwhile, Satvinder started a successful catering business that supplied traditional Punjabi cuisine to Indian functions and weddings throughout the UK, through which she developed a range of tasty recipes that utilised our plant-based chicken. This meant that when we decided to launch Shikin in 2020, we felt confident in our knowledge and experience to make the venture a success. Shikin started as a lifestyle business with myself and Satvinder creating homemade restaurant-quality plant-based curries and kebabs and selling them online via our e-commerce platform. This grew really quickly, and in November 2021, we secured our first retail account with Costco, which we serviced out of a small commercial kitchen. This led to us starting discussions with Matthew Glover, the founder of Veganuary and vegan investment fund Veg Capital, who wanted to help us scale. Looking at the potential of our listing with Costco in the UK and internationally, We eventually decided that we needed external financial backing and took on £2 million in funding from Veg Capital in early 2022. This partnership has proved fruitful, and we secured a further £4 million investment from Veg Capital in March 2024. Leaning on my contacts in the sector, I began investigating the possibility of working with a contract manufacturer, but was advised that due to the very high quality of our plant-based products, it would be better to manufacture everything in-house. As a result, in October 2022, we used the funding from Veg Capital to start work on a state-of-the-art manufacturing facility in Dartford, Kent, possessing an annual production capacity of 20,000 tonnes. Production at the facility began in March 2023, and we now employ 12 manufacturing staff at the site, as well as 8 people in the office. More than 12 months on from opening this facility, we are set to grow our business 5-fold. We are exporting to numerous countries, including USA, France, Sweden, Iceland, and Dubai, serving retailers and food service businesses alike. In the UK, we supply the wholesale of brakes, and our products are now available with several pub chains across the country. Looking ahead of Q4 of 2024, we are in discussions with 4 major retailers in the UK, and we hope to have rolled out our products further in the US market too.
Plant-based category is intending to mature. While the business has grown quickly, we still see our chicken protein as the foundation of our offering, combined with authentic Asian cuisine. To date, our focus has been around Indian dishes due to our background, but our
range has since been developed to include a greater collection of different Asian cuisines. During the summer of 2023, we toured around Asia as a family to gain a deeper understanding of the various food cultures and learn about these authentic recipes. On our return, we used this knowledge and inspiration to launch our Pan-Asian range, starting with our teriyaki kebab skewer, which we recently launched in Costco. Future innovation could include other meat alternatives such as duck or steak. Possessing our own manufacturing facility also allows us to offer our proteins and recipes on a private label basis, which is where the vast majority of my experience within food manufacturing lies. For 20 years, I was responsible for working on private label products with all the major retailers, food service operators, and producers, an education that has given me great insight into this world. As a business, we're here for long-term and keenly focused on pursuing long-term growth in a way for future family generations. Both of our kids have been involved with chicken in some capacity alongside their studies. Given the nature of the plant-based sector over the past few years, it is important for us to take the sustainable approach. We see the plant-based market as a marathon sprint and have already seen the category experience a consolidation process after the initial period of dramatic growth. There were so many new entrants in the market which was unsustainable, but over the next 2 years, I expect to see the category mature and quality of product become the primary area of focus.
Vegetarianism has been part of our family for more than 30 years.
And we ultimately wanted to share the amazing recipes that Satvinder has created and continues to develop. We understand that in the short term, no one business can shift consumer behaviour dramatically, but if we can encourage more meat eaters to try our dishes and experiment more with plant-based proteins, maybe down the road we can have a genuine long-term impact on animal welfare and the environment. Our dream is that once we decided to retire, we can pass the business down to our kids. In that way, we can leave a positive legacy of delivering tasty and affordable plant-based food, but also for creating a sustainable business model that can last the rest of time in a tumultuous economic ecosystem. Greggs is to expand its production with the construction of 2 new sites in the Midlands to boost manufacturing and logistics capacity. The High Street Baker has entered into agreement for lease on a site at Smart Peck SCGR Derby for a facility focused on its increased manufacturing capability needs while also supporting the expansion of its logistics network capacity. Construction on the building is currently underway, with plans to develop and install the first phase of the manufacturing and logistics equipment through 2025 and 2026. In addition to the self-funded capital expenditure to install the equipment, at least a right-of-use asset of about £65 million will also be recognised on the commencement of the lease. Greggs also confirmed it was in negotiations to purchase land in the Colby Kettering area, where it planned to develop a national distribution centre for chilled and goods. An exchange of contracts for the purchase of the land is expected in the coming months. Such an expansion would allow the baker to extend its logistics capacity across its network to circa 35,000 shops, a 1,000 store boost from current levels, supported by semi-automated storage and picking solutions. The company reported it was in line with its previous communicated capital expenditure plans, including the investment in projects at its Birmingham and
Amesbury distribution centres to deliver additional logistics capacity by the end of 2024. A fourth production line for its sausage rolls and bakes at Ballinol Park in Newcastle has now been commissioned, which it claimed would increase production capacity at the site by 35% over time. Greggs' latest trading update followed the announcement it had opened its 2,500 store
located in the petrol forecourt at Sainsbury's Common. In the first 19 weeks of 2024, it saw 64 gross new shops opened and 27 net. Openings like-for-like sales were up 7.4%, with total sales for the period worth £693 million. Guinness owner Diageo has announced plans to invest more than €100 million to decarbonise its St James Gate site in Dublin. Diageo claims that the investment will enable St James Gate to phase out the use of fossil fuels in its direct brewing operations and reduce Scope 1 and 2 greenhouse gas emissions by more than 90%. By 2030, the site's renewable energy strategy will combine the use of grid-supplied electrical power heat pumps and biogas generated within a new water recovery facility, as well as a projected reduction in the water used to brew Guinness of 30%. A planning application for the decarbonisation project will be submitted to Dublin City Council later this year, after Diageo engages with industry experts and local communities. The investment was announced on the 16th of May by Diageo CEO Deborah Crew, who was joined at the brewery by Taoiseach Simon Harris, TD, Minister for the Enterprise, Trade and Employment Peter Burke, and the CEO of Enterprise Ireland, Leo Clancy. Industry is a key pillar of national and global efforts to address climate change, and it is welcome and important that Diageo is showing leadership by decarbonising its operations here in its home city. Guinness has been made in Dublin for over a quarter of a millennium, and today so many tourists visit the location while they are here. It's not just a green transformation for St James Gate, but a flagship transformation that will send a strong message to the world. It also demonstrates the government's commitment to businesses big and small to make the green transition and to work in partnership to help achieve our climate goals. Meanwhile, Crew thanked the Irish government and Enterprise Ireland for their support on the project. She added, St James's Gate is a historic location for an iconic brand. We're 260 years into our 9,000-year lease at St James's Gate, and this investment will ensure that Guinness has an exciting and long-term sustainable future. We are proud to lead the way on decarbonisation, both as a major Irish business and as an industry-leading company. Brewing company Adnams has published its financial results for the 12 months to the 31st of December 2023, during which time it suffered a pre-tax loss of £4 million. The loss increased from the £2.3 million figure reported a year prior, with Adnams stating that multiple factors had continued to challenge brewing and hospitality during 2023. The firm's operating losses also widened to £2.5 million due to higher costs. Nonetheless, Adnams increased sales by 3% year-on-year to £66.3 million and experienced stronger demand in on and off trade channels during the second half of the year. Meanwhile, the brewers said that beer volumes have risen by 11% during the first quarter of 2024. Following an announcement in February 2024, Adnams also confirmed that it is continuing to explore a range of options to fund its future growth plans with the support of its advisors and has received an encouraging response to the process. The board's preferred option remains the raising of additional capital from another party and or the sale of freehold assets to return capital to the company. However, no decision has yet to be taken. Commenting on the company's performance, Adnams Chief Executive Andy Wood said, as we continue to pursue our strategy, it's important that we leverage our distinctive strengths as a heritage-rich, innovative company to their fullest. The Adnams brand continues to hold significant equity and is championed and cherished by its customers. Wood is due to step down from the role in June 2024, when he will be replaced by Jenny Hanlon, set to take up the role on the 1st of July. Hanlon will become the first woman to serve as Adnams Chief Executive in its 150-year history. The coming months will see the company undergo further change as it is positioned for further growth. This change is likely to result in a simplified operating model that encompasses the things the businesses do well, whilst reducing its borrowings, susceptibility to economic shocks, and building greater resilience. Food and drink mergers and acquisitions activity has reached the highest deal volume since 2016, but the value of deals continued to decline in the face of lingering macroeconomic headwinds. Deal value was down 31.7% in the first quarter of 2024 compared to the same period last year, and according to Ogma Partners' latest UK F&B M&A activity report. However, excluding the Glanbia cheese transaction from the first quarter of 2023, deal value actually increased by 107.6%. Just one quarter of deals had a value of more than £10 million, with 4.7% of transactions worth more than £50 million. There were no deals above the £100 million mark during the reported period. Inflation and high interest rates have created a difficult trading and funding environment for smaller businesses, with acquisitions out of administration accounting for 14.0% of deals in this quarter. UK corporate buyers drove most of the period's M&A activity, accounting for 79.1% of deal volume, equivalent to 34 deals, compared to 60.3% for during the previous year. This was met with a reduction in the number of deals completed by financial and overseas buyers, with them accounting for 9.3% and 11.6% respectively. Mark Lynch, partner at Ogma Partners, said deal volume was likely to remain robust and for the value of deals to pick up gradually as market conditions improve. The start of 2024 has seen the UK economy exit recession, and both consumer and business confidence has risen since last year. In March, the inflation rate fell to its lowest level since September 2013. Food price inflation has matched this pattern, marking its 12th consecutive month of easing rates, Lynch explained. The Bank of England has kept interest rates steady at 5.25% since September 2023, with anticipated rate cuts in the latter half of 2024. The combination of these factors creates a positive outlook for M&A activity in the UK food and beverages sector. However, it might take time for deal values to pick up again to their pre-pandemic levels. In addition to this, we anticipate divestments to be a large source of M&A activity, as companies look to refine their portfolios and carve out underperforming or non-core assets. Ogma noted there had been a reduction in private equity deals, accounting for just 9.3% of transactions. Once again, the blame was laid at the feet of stubbornly high interest rates that have decreased financial buyers' ability to transact. Those that have occurred have been set at lower valuation ranges. Private equity deals are expected to pick up when financial conditions ease, Lynch added. There is currently a lot of pent-up demand from financial buyers, with dry powder at record high levels of $2.59 trillion globally. On the other hand, acquisitions made by overseas buyers may take a lot longer to return as global conflicts, supply chain issues, and worldwide elections taking place this year will continue to create geopolitical and economic uncertainty. GMB Scotland members working for John Dewar and Sons are set to vote on whether to start industrial action. The ballot was launched after workers at the whisky maker accused managers of unfairly withholding a pay rise from colleagues, which left 17 employees without an agreed 6.9% pay rise. Instead, GMB Scotland claimed that the workers were given half the rise, with the rest being made up with a one-off bonus. Gary Cook, GMB Scotland senior organiser in engineering and manufacturing, said that the issue only came to light following the conclusion of negotiations with DWARs and when an agreement had been reached. Our members have some grave concerns about that, and that it is easy to understand why. They had only narrowly voted to accept this rise before discovering some colleagues would not receive it in full. Negotiations must proceed in a spirit of trust and transparency, and for an issue like this to arise at such a late stage can only damage that trust. Of course, the 17 workers should be given the same rise as their colleagues, but this is also about trust between workers and management, and for negotiations to be carried out in good faith. Managers need to understand the importance of trust and protect it. DWARS employs around 300 workers across 5 distilleries in Scotland and has been owned by multinational drinks firm Bacardi since 1998. Chicken is launching a new plant-based chicken recipe that is free from the top 14 allergens. The Asian plant-based manufacturer's next-generation chicken recipe was developed at Chicken's certified allergen-free site in Kent and uses all British ingredients. Set to be rolled out nationally in the Chicken Tikka Kebab this week, initially via Costco stores, the new recipe will be incorporated throughout its entire range of curry and kebab dishes and made available across retail, D2C and food service by the end of May 2024. Made with pea proteins that are solely sourced from peas farmed in East Anglia, rather than from soy and wheat-based ingredients, as was previously the case, the next generation chicken recipe should enable the brand to reduce its carbon emissions and air miles. Co-founders of Chicken, Palm and Satvin Baines believe that the move to pea protein will help improve the taste and texture of its products, while also making its range more inclusive and accessible to people with allergies. They also featured in a recent edition of Me and My Team, where they discussed the development of chicken and the plant-based category. As a business, we are committed to making plant-based food delicious, inclusive and ethical, said Palm Baines. Our next generation recipe has been developed to taste even better and opens the chicken range up for everyone to enjoy, whatever their dietary requirements are. Sustainable sourcing is essential to the future of food and the planet, and reducing the food miles of our ingredients is a key part of our mission and purpose. We exist to provide consumers with the options to make good food choices that are a win-win by providing convenient, restaurant-quality, authentic Asian and plant-based meals, supporting animal welfare and minimising the impact on the environment through a more sustainable range, with full traceability from farm to fork. Two Sisters owner Ranjit Singh Boparan is planning to donate 5 million meals per year to food charity FareShare, working in tandem with customers and supply chain partners. These donations will be made through a combined effort with retail partner M&S, who will contribute more than 1 million portions, with the remaining 4 million meals set to be made up from surplus products and by leveraging support from supply chain partners. May 2024, the Two Sisters facility in Thetford, Norfolk, has donated 1 million portions that include co-branded FareShare and Two Sisters products such as coated chicken steaks, coated chicken mini fillet tenders, coated boneless chicken pieces, and coated bone-in chicken portions. Meanwhile, fellow Boparan owner manufacturing Alps Biscuits will make a donation later this year. In November, Boparan donated 1 million meals in partnership with M&S as part of the Coronation Food Project, which encourages supermarkets and manufacturers to join FareShare's innovative Alliance Manufacturing Programme to redistribute even more surplus food to charities nationwide. According to the latest Food Foundation tracker, 15% of UK households have experienced food insecurity in 2024, which translates to around 11 million people. Commenting on the creation of the new target, Boparan said, "We have a moral responsibility to do the right thing. It cannot be right that in the UK in 2024, people are struggling to feed themselves. No one should go to sleep on an empty stomach at night, especially not children." They have previously committed to supporting the King's Coronation Food Project, and in partnership with M&S, they are working to boost FareShare's distribution efforts. However, they do feel it is time for individual companies who make food to step up and help alleviate this problem. This also requires a big effort from the supply chain, and it's fantastic to see so much goodwill and support. Without the support of companies like Magnavale, who are storing these products for them, this entire distribution effort wouldn't be possible. Meanwhile, FareShare CEO George Wright emphasised the charity's desire to work collaboratively with the F&B sector to ensure surplus food is not wasted. By securing the support of partners in the supply chain to donate the equivalent of 1 million portions of chicken, Ranjit Singh Boparan is setting a great example to businesses across the food and manufacturing industries to share resources to help unlock the social and environmental impact of surplus food. They are thrilled to see Ranjit leading the way. Working together will help us combat the environmental impact of food waste and help the 8,500 charities they support strengthen communities up and down the country. Crosta and Malika has recalled a range of pasta sauces over fears that it may contain pieces of glass. The Italian food manufacturer has recalled jars of its Crosta and Malika Sugo alla Norma aubergine, ricotta and tomato because the possible presence of glass makes them potentially unsafe to eat. The recalled pasta sauces are packaged in the 340-gram jars, featured a batch code of Y008B, and have a best before date of 8th of January 2027. Crosta and Malika said that the recalled range has only been sold in Waitrose stores. In a recall notice issued to its customers, the food service provider has explained the cause for the recall and advised consumers to return the product to the store where they bought it or another Waitrose store for a full refund. Consumer and retailers can also contact Crosta and Malika with further questions. "We apologise that it has been necessary to recall this product and for the inconvenience caused." The global manufacturer behind Cadbury's, Belvita and Oreo is setting up a regional biscuit and baked snacks lab and innovation kitchen in Singapore, backed by more than $5 million. The new modeller's facility expands on the capabilities of the company's existing Singapore Technical Centre, established in 2006, which was later followed by an expansion in 2018 that centred on innovation and product development in the gum and candy categories. The lab and innovation kitchen will serve as a strategic centre of excellence and regional hub and forms part of a wider commitment from the food producer to firm up its foothold across Southeast Asia and Australia, New Zealand and Japan through NPD. Executive Vice President and President AMEA, Deepak Laya, said the aim is to create a dynamic space where creative ideas can flourish. He explained that this expansion further enhances the capabilities of our Singapore Technical Centre and reaffirms our commitment and contribution to the country, which serves as a headquarters for our Asia Pacific, Middle East and Africa business. In particular, Mondelez International is keen to focus on mindful snacking as part of its mission to develop the right snack for the right moment, made the right way. This includes a focus on products that encourage portion balance and mindful indulgence. It also aims to build on the skill sets already housed at the Singapore Technical Centre to further drive innovation and enhance operational efficiency. Mr. Chan In-ming, Executive Vice President of the Singapore Economic Development, which opened the facility on the 23rd of May 2024, added the expansion will capitalise on opportunities presented by the rising Asian middle class and a growing appetite for premium and responsible snacking experiences. Singapore, which is at the heart of Southeast Asia and boasts a vibrant food ecosystem, presents an ideal location for such endeavours. We are proud to stand alongside Mondelez International as they embark on this new and exciting journey to delight consumers with every bite. The dip brand, which was founded by former BBC journalist Julie Waddle in 2012, has been acquired for an undisclosed sum by the fresh food provider. Since its inception, the Moorish brand has grown from its humble kitchen beginnings to a business with a revenue of more than £2 million. It features a range of different flavoured hummus dips and has successfully secured several retail listings in the UK, including Asda, Sainsbury's and Cotswold Fare. In its new home, it will sit alongside others Bakkavor is working with, including Pizza Express, the delicious dessert company, the Pizza Company and more recently Pinch. Its current managing director, Andy Atherton, will stay on in a consultancy role, supporting the brand's transition to its new owners. Commenting on the purchase of the business, founder Julie Waddle said that she was incredibly proud of what Moorish has achieved. Since starting from her kitchen table in 2012, it's been quite a journey to see the business grow into what it is today. I feel very fortunate that for the last 12 years, my job has been to create innovative, delicious products that are loved by consumers across the UK. Mike Edwards, CEO of Bakkavor Group plc, added the high-quality, innovative Moorish products will be a great addition to our existing brands and will complement our existing dips business. He also hinted at how Bakkavor might expand the dips brand's horizons. The Moorish brand has so much more potential than just hummus, and we're excited about expanding it into other relevant Bakkavor categories in the future. We'd like to congratulate Julie, Andy and the team on the great brand they have built and are looking forward to it growing further under our ownership. Waddle agreed the future looked bright, with the brand poised for new ventures and expansion. In Bakkavor, there are so many great opportunities still to explore with the brand, and I will enjoy watching Moorish flourish as the new owners take it to the next level. Dawn Meats has secured a multi-million-pound export contract to South Korea to supply food service, retail and manufacturing customers across the country. The agreement will see the Irish meat processor supply beef monthly to a leading South Korean company. It comes off the back of the announcement that the country has agreed to open its market to Irish beef for the first time. Dawn Meats has secured approval for the supply, marketing and distribution of bone and boneless beef cuts, and official into South Korea from its sites in Greenock in County Waterford and Charleville in County Cork. The contract is the culmination of 6 years of negotiations by the manufacturer, which included a successful visit by representatives of the South Korean company to Ireland in January of this year, and an audit of Irish beef plants by South Korean authorities last month. Niall Brown, Dawn Meats chief executive, said, "We welcome this new market access to South Korea, and we are delighted that 2 of our sites have received South Korean approval. It is a testament to the high-quality beef supplied by our family farm suppliers, and it is a significant step in developing new market opportunities for our products. We look forward to working with our customers in the South Korean market, who will be crucial to helping to bring quality Irish beef to the plates of South Korean customers." Dawn Meats is already a supplier of Irish beef into other markets in the region, including the Philippines and Japan. Supermarket chain Asda has announced the launch of its new own brand range dubbed Exceptional by Asda. The range was created in order to elevate the supermarket's premium tier offering, and once fully rolled out will feature more than 500 products across multiple categories. The initial rollout will take place in store and online between now and the 8th of June 2024, with the best of the range set to be phased in over the next few months. The first batch of products includes more than 70 core chilled items, including burrata, chat masala potato salad, and double-stuffed halkidiki olives, among others. Asda said that the new range will provide shoppers with the very best quality, while featuring a distinctly premium packaging design. Over the past 3 years, the retailer has invested more than £170 million in several initiatives to improve the range and quality of its own brand products, with the launch of Just Essentials in 2022, the Asda Bakery refresh in 2023, and the launch of new sub-brands Bistro and Bon Bahia. As part of this, Asda launched more than 4,500 new or improved products. At Asda, we're constantly striving to exceed expectations and inspire customers with the quality and breadth of our ranges, and work relentlessly to offer our customers uncompromising value, showcasing that affordable can also mean high quality, said Sam Dixon, Vice President for Own Brand Commercial Strategy at Asda. The launch of our new premium brand Exceptional marks an exciting time for Asda's own brand offering. We've developed a range which offers customers something that really feel proud of to put on their dinner table. These products ooze quality and celebrate the very best of own brand with taste at their heart. In its recently published financial results, Asda reported 5.4% growth in like-for-like sales excluding fuel and a 24% increase in adjusted EBITDA after rent. The financial impact of the UK's Border Target Operating Model (BTOM) is significantly higher than what was predicted by the government, according to the British Meat Processors Association (BMPA). Importers are already substantial charges far beyond the Department for Environment, Food and Rural Affairs, DEFRA's original estimates of $330 million per annum. Overall, across all EU imports, with an increase of
0.2% to food price inflation over 3 years. The government's focus has been on the Common User Charge, CUC, for medium risk products like fresh meat, capped at £145 per truckload. However, this cap is per consignment, utilising one Common Health Entry Document, CHED, not per truckload. A groupage load of 5 consignments with 5 CHEDs, each with 5 product lines, would likely attract a charge of £725 for a single truckload. The government's estimates also failed to factor in additional costs from port health authorities. Ashford Port Health Authority's SBS documentary and inspection charge for Dover and Eurotunnel consignments starts at £66 for loads up to 6 tonnes, plus £11 for each additional tonne separate from the CUC. These fees are levied for facilities and checks at Sevington, which most consignments never reach. The BMPA claimed this charge was being levied to do nothing other than an online automated check of the CHED. Peter Hardwick, trade policy advisor at the BMPA, highlighted the lack of guidance that has been provided by the government and the costs that are in no way aligned with the levels of checks actually being carried out on the border. Only 2% of consignments are being physically checked, so the vast majority are being waved through without a second glance, but the charge is levied anyway. Let's just look at imported products of animal origin alone. With at least 1,000 full truckloads of medium and high-risk products moving through Dover and Eurotunnel every day, the daily cost exceeds £240,000, translating to an annual burden of £88 million, which is in no way aligned with the actual level of checks, and traffic through Dover and Eurotunnel only represents a third of all animal products coming into the country. Not included in these charges are the multiple other hidden costs being baked into food prices, including the cost of new red tape and paperwork now required to be done by vets and administrators before a lorry leaves the factory. The British Meat Processors Association is calling on the government to urgently review these charges, which, contrary to DEFRA's claims of minimal impact, poised to significantly increase consumer prices.
PepsiCo has expanded the use of used cooking oil to power its delivery fleet in a move that will save an additional 13 kilograms of tons
in greenhouse gases, GHGs, for the manufacture. In partnership with logistics provider Stobart, Walker's crisps will now be transported from PepsiCo's Leicester site to retailers using 5 million litres hydro-treated vegetable oil, HVO, to fuel more than 11 million miles of UK HEB truck journeys across the remainder of this year. It is the latest in a string of sustainability initiatives from the manufacturer over the past 2 years. This included replacing diesel used in trucks travelling between the Quaker Oats mill in Cupar and Walker's Leicester with HVO, alongside routes between British Farms and Leicester. Low carbon HVO is now being used to power 40% of transportation across the Walker's supply chain, with PepsiCo's total miles running on HVO fuel equating to 14 million this year. Simon Devade, Sustainability Director at PepsiCo UK and Ireland, said, "Scaling up our use of HVO-powered trucks to transport our Walker's crisps all over the country is a significant further step in our decarbonisation journey. By continuing to invest in green logistics initiatives, With trusted partners, we're moving even closer to our goal of net zero by 2040. Every kilometre powered by HVO generates 85% less GHG emissions when compared with conventional diesel, according to PepsiCo. Stobart Chief Executive David Pickering added, "This important initiative will help Stobart and PepsiCo to jointly decarbonise their supply chain service by over 13,000 tonnes carbon this year alone. We're now actively working on further initiatives with PepsiCo to continue to accelerate our decarbonisation journey." In 2024, the British Frozen Food Federation is celebrating 100 years of frozen food. While the origins of freezing food can be traced back to the 19th century, the BFFF recognises 1924 as the year of the category's true birth, pointing to the invention of quick freezing technology by Clarence Birdseye. Birdseye was an American inventor and entrepreneur who, while fishing in Newfoundland, Canada, noticed that placing fish on ice after catching them allowed for them to stay fresh and safe to eat once thawed. Fascinated by the possibilities, Birdseye invented the quick freeze machine and in the process laid the foundations for the modern frozen food landscape. In the intervening years since Birdseye made his landmark discovery, the frozen food sector has grown significantly and opened up the opportunity for products to be enjoyed by consumers and around the world. In the UK alone, Kantar data shows that frozen food retail sales were worth £8.5 billion during the 52 weeks to the 17th of March 2024, which represented a year-on-year increase of 11.8%. The BFFF has overseen much of the sector's growth in the UK, having been established in 1948 to act as a unifying force within the industry, representing manufacturers, wholesalers and retailers. The trade association's work also involves engaging policymakers in order to influence regulation as well as promoting the qualities of frozen food with the public. Asked about the significance of the 100-year milestone and the continued work of the Chief Executive Rupert Ashby responded, "In a society increasingly aware of energy consumption and sustainability, Birdseye's words resonate only through curiosity can we unlock new opportunities. This anniversary prompts us to re-examine our methods inspiring innovation and the pursuit of more efficient, environmentally friendly ways to store and enjoy frozen food for generations to come." Stefan D. Shoemaker, CEO of frozen food manufacturer Nomad Foods, which owns the Birdseye brand, has said that the advent of flash freezing revolutionised the food system and still plays an ever-relevant role in modern life. The Shoemaker continued, "The 100-year anniversary is the perfect time to stop and ask ourselves, what would Clarence do today? How can we build on his legacy, and what does the next 100 years of frozen look like?" Looking at the strengths of the frozen food category in 2024, Paul Saunders, the managing director at pastry manufacturer Pomper Cornish, which freezes its fillings fresh, pointed to the quality and nutritional value of this approach. Frozen food often has a perception of being lower in value and being less healthy, whereas in fact, freezing foods, especially vegetables, locks in vitamins. We use fresh vegetables and ingredients prepared just in time for every batch, and by supplying them to our customers uncooked, frozen, and to be baked in store, it means that the consumer is receiving the best quality product. Ashby agreed, stating that frozen food has become an integral part of modern diets because it offers convenience and a nutritional value. He continued, "Rapid freezing technology ensures that all key nutrients are preserved, making frozen foods just as healthy as fresh throughout their entire lifespan in your freezer. The quality of frozen products is an especially valued selling point today, with consumers increasingly concerned over the health credentials of every product they buy. Like many in the food sector, this trend has not gone unnoticed by Nomad Foods. We've championed nutritional improvement since our inception in 2015, and we are proud that as of this year, over 93% of our net sales are from healthier meal choices or compliant with the UK government's legislation on foods high in fat, salt and sugar, HFSS. Moreover, the fact that frozen products tend to compare favourably in terms of price to their fresh counterparts is another advantage, especially during a period where such high levels of food and drink inflation have rattled the UK. Frozen food is cost-effective, it provides excellent value for money and accessibility to a wide range of consumers. The category also excels in variety and quality, with a wide range of fruits, vegetables, meats, seafood and prepared meals to cater to diverse tastes and dietary requirements. As well as offering affordable, quality frozen foods are often less wasted due to their extended shelf life. Food waste can be reduced by using frozen foods, as you are able to use only what you need, which is good in terms of the environment as well as cost. Ashby added that finding products with an extended shelf life was at the top of many household agendas, as it enables consumers to shop less often and without best-before-date concerns. Frozen products are also less prone to spoilage through the logistics chain compared to chilled or ambient alternatives. Reduced waste, as Dishmaker noted, is also crucial if the F&B sector is to reduce its impact on the planet. Our industry-leading life cycle assessment shows that frozen food performs very well against alternatives in terms of carbon footprint, partly due to much lower levels of food waste. While frozen foods are seen as a cheaper alternative to fresh produce, this should not leave the impression that it's without innovation. As Dishmaker explained, the demand for more affordable foods has driven exciting new product within the frozen aisle. The breadth of products available has certainly grown over time, and our job at Nomad Foods is to continue innovating with new, exciting and versatile products that fit consumers' evolving lifestyles, preferences and cooking habits. For example, since COVID, we've seen a spike in the use of fryers as a method of meal preparation, so we've rolled out air frying instructions on our packaging. Ashby echoed this sentiment. The current cost of living crisis is driving consumers to look for more affordable alternatives, and we've seen a rise in consumers replacing meals out with at-home dining experiences at a fraction of the cost. This is leading to innovation across the board as manufacturers look to provide main dishes and desserts that would be complex and time-consuming to prepare from scratch. Consumers are also seeking healthier alternatives, with added vegetables and plant-based products remaining popular. Innovation does not always need to be groundbreaking. Ashby pointed out, and it can be as simple as experimenting with finishing touches. Glazed, coated and dusted products that can be cooked from frozen in a matter of minutes offer consumers a taste of the exotic with little effort required. Salters has seen a considerable growth in the demand for and sales of frozen vegan products, with more consumers adopting a vegan diet or looking to reduce their meat intake because of environmental, animal rights or health reasons. Consumer perceptions of vegan baked goods are changing, and at Cornish, we are seeing a shift in vegan requirements, with some consumers moving away from the meat substitute products towards more plant-based natural ingredients. With calls for clean label claims on plant-based foods becoming louder and consumers seeking a less complicated list of ingredients, there is a focus on improved quality and nutrition. Provenance is another key trend that Saunders highlighted, with UK consumers particularly concerned about reducing the distance their food has travelled. However, they still want to experiment with new flavours, which has resulted in the phenomenon of British fusion. This trend fits well with pasties and savoury pastries, as so many consumers are familiar with the concept of a pastry, sausage roll or a slice, and these familiar products can easily be adapted to merge with other world flavours. Combine this with consumers' desire to use food to explore world and travel experiences, with interesting bold Mexican and Asian flavours coming through, and it opens up a whole new world of development opportunities. In response to the trends, the firm had identified, Cornish developed the new Mexican-style bean pasty, a British fusion-inspired product that is suitable for vegans and flexitarians alike. The colourful filling of soft beans, tomatoes and vegetables is blended with the Mexican spices to provide a rich, spicy aroma and a mild, chilly heat, encased in a unique hand-crimped vegan glazed pastry case that has all the flavour of an authentic 4-bean Mexican chili. While the frozen food category has thrived in recent years, the challenges impacting the wider food and drink sector also persist. One major hurdle firms of all sizes face today is climate change, with pressure to take action being applied by regulators and consumers alike. From the perspective of the BFFF, the frozen food industry in the UK has been proactive in implementing sustainable practices throughout their supply chain. Ashby pointed out to a recent study commissioned by Nomad Foods and conducted by F&B-focused science and technology firm Camden BRI, which showed that storing food at -15 centigrade instead of the industry standard -18 centigrade had no impact on product quality, nutrition, taste. Tested over a 12-month period, it was also found that every 3 centigrade increase in temperature led to a notable drop in freezer energy consumption, approximately 10%. This research has profound implications for the frozen food industry, said Burton McArdle. Value optimization need at Camden BRI. By adopting higher storage temperatures, manufacturers and retailers can potentially revolutionize the industry by significantly reducing energy consumption and costs. However, implementing these changes requires collaboration among various stakeholders, including trade bodies, retail partners, and other key players in the frozen food supply chain. The potential benefits of this breakthrough extend beyond just economic savings. By reducing energy consumption, the frozen food industry can contribute to mitigating its environmental impact. This is crucial given that food systems are responsible for a substantial portion of global greenhouse gas emissions, and therefore there is growing pressure on businesses to address sustainability concerns. Nomad Foods was enthused by the results, with D. Shoemaker describing the study as a potential game changer. We believe it is the right thing to do, with benefits for everyone in the frozen cold chain and the extended cold chain. Despite the ongoing trial, Nomad Foods has continued to explore other ways in which it can reduce the environmental impact of its businesses and the wider supply chain. In 2023, we met our SBTi-approved target to reduce our absolute emissions by 25% by 2025. Beyond our own operations, we have committed to ensuring that the top 75% of our suppliers by absolute emissions volume develop their own science-based targets by 2025. Tackling climate change is a journey, but one we are wholly committed to. As mentioned above, the cost of living crisis is another challenge that has forced consumers to adapt their spending habits, and while frozen food is typically seen as a more affordable option, Ashby believes that the category is continuously innovating in terms of price. This includes offering value packaging, budget-friendly options, and optimizing production processes to minimize cost without compromising on quality. One example of innovation can be seen at Cornish, which has sought to eschew the trend of shrinkflation in order to better serve customers with less disposable income. Some manufacturers are taking the opportunity to reduce the size of their products, but we are seeing a trend whereby our customers are wanting larger products as consumers see them as value for money. When money is tight, consumers want to understand what they are buying and not risk purchasing food they don't understand. Consumers also want to know where and how products are made and are paying more attention to ingredient labels, where they are expecting simplicity, transparency, and traceability. While it is important to celebrate an important milestone like 100 years of frozen food, the category must continue to cast its eyes forward. With many challenges around the corner, preparation is key. But Ashby is cautiously optimistic. The frozen food industry enters its centenary year at a time when inflation rates are starting to fall and worker prosperity is beginning to rise. With more spending power, consumers will be looking for new and exciting products, which we believe will drive innovation and growth in the category. Additionally, we aim to bring together retailers, customers, FMCG, white goods manufacturers, and trade bodies in a collaborative effort to foster meaningful change by increasing the temperature at which we store frozen food. By working together, we can drive progress towards a more sustainable and efficient frozen food sector, benefiting both consumers and businesses alike. D. Shoemaker's outlook was similarly positive. The future of frozen food looks bright. Our focus on nutrition, sustainability, and innovation, delivered through our iconic brands, inspire confidence in our continued ability to create delicious household staples for the next 100 years and beyond. Pointing to the freezer temperature study, he added, "It is something Clarence Birdseye would have wanted to explore if he was alive today, and we hope he is proud of the progress we are making."
Consumer trust in the food system has dropped, with less than half of shoppers trusting food manufacturers over perceived lack of competency and openness, according to EIT Food. In a study of 19,642 consumers across 18 European countries, less than half, representing 46%, said they trusted food manufacturers in terms of competency and openness, down from 48% in 2021, while 27% said they actively mistrusted them. What's more, only 4 in 10, or 38%, of consumers believed that food manufacturers cared about people's concerns, while just 37% felt that they were open and honest about how they prepared and sold food. This level of mistrust extended to government agencies at national and EU level, with only 45% of respondents admitting to trusting authorities. A further 32% said they actively mistrusted authorities. Just over a third, 38%, believed that authorities cared about and listened to what ordinary people thought about food, or that they were sufficiently open about how they regulated food production at 37%. Sophia Khan, the Director of Public Insights and Engagement at EIT Food, said the food sector has faced unprecedented challenges in recent years, and will continue to do so as climate change takes its toll on food production. Now more than ever, we need partnership between the food sector and Europe's citizens if we are to create a healthier and more sustainable food system
for everyone. To achieve this, we need to understand and work with consumers to foster trust and engagement in embracing food innovations and making conscious choices about what to eat. The EIT Food Survey also found that less than half, at 45%, of Europeans said that they have trust in food related to the taste, safety, health and authenticity and sustainability of our food system. While consumers were mostly confident that the food they ate was safe at 53%, they were more sceptical about its sustainability and healthiness. Only a third, 36%, of consumers believed that the food they ate was sustainable, while less than half, at 44%, believed it was healthy. Commenting on the research, Klaus G. Grunert, professor of marketing at Aarhus University and lead of the Consumer Observatory, added, "Consumers need to be able to trust that food they eat is both good for them and good for the planet. If we are to support people to make long-term changes to how they eat, we need the food sector to work with consumers to provide better information, options and access for diets that are healthy, nutritious and sustainable, while being affordable and inclusive for everyone." Ultra-processed food UPF, staff retention, recyclability, legislative divergence and food high in fat, salt, sugar, HFSS, are the 5 key challenges that the food and drink industry need to tackle, according to Camden BRI. These 5 hot topics were identified as major financial and technical challenges by Camden BRI's member interest groups, MIGs, at its annual spring and autumn meetings. The 15 MIGs are made up of representatives from Camden BRI member companies and meet twice per year to discuss typical industrial issues, consider the impact of emerging legislation, select and steer research products. Bertrand Emond of Camden BRI said MIG members are at the coalface of the food and beverage industry and have identified a range of challenges and concerns that will have major technical and financial effects on the industry in the coming year. As well as identifying issues, our MIGs are also highly effective in identifying potential solutions and collaborations that can help minimize the effects of these topic challenges, and in making us use of the technical expertise and support that Camden BRI's experts can provide our members. With no universally agreed or official definition for UPFs, most default to the NOVA system that categories all food products into one of 4 groups. 1 is unprocessed and minimally processed, 2 is processed culinary ingredients, 3 is processed, and 4 is ultra-processed. The MIGs raise concerns that media scrutiny, as well as influence on consumer perceptions on the level of processing of products and ingredients, may be at the detriment of a need to remain focused on the nutritional value of products. The current Packaging and Packaging Waste Directive contains an objective to harmonise measures concerning management of packaging and packaging waste. However, there is a lack of harmonisation between EU and UK, between UK devolved nations and between EU member states when it comes to packaging requirements, labelling requirements and recycling infrastructure. There have been some steps by the EC to address harmonisation, which will affect all EU member states. These do not appear to the UK and apply to the UK, and as such will see the 2 trading blocs drift further and further apart. Recruitment and retention issues, as well as being challenges in themselves, can also create further difficulties in relation to skills and knowledge gaps, as well as challenge the building and maturing of positive food safety culture within food business. In these situations, it is as important as ever to focus on your food safety and quality culture. Food business operators need to nurture a culture in which everyone will do the right thing, right at all times, even when under pressure. Businesses need to ensure that food safety and quality are non-negotiable and never compromised. A careful balancing act needs to be played between making packaging more sustainable and recyclable while ensuring it still keeps food safe and prevents it from being wasted. MIGs urge manufacturers looking to introduce new or change packaging to consider the impact of any change of packaging function and integrity, storage requirements, supply chain, stability/robustness, ease of use and handling, shelf life, packaging and product, cost and consumer perception. Currently, food and drink categories affected by the Food Promotion and Placement England Regulations 2021 are listed in the legislation and include, for example, soft drinks, savoury snacks, confectionery and pizza. Products are rated on their nutrient profiling model score, negative points for calorie density, saturated fat, salt and sodium, and positive points to protein, fibre, fruit, and vegetables and nuts. Concerns were raised that the current system could see foods to drink considered as healthy, achieving a low score and vice versa.
The Animal Welfare Livestock Exports Act has received royal assent and mandates that animals are slaughtered domestically. The new UK law will prevent the exportation of live animals, fattening and slaughter from the UK, and covers cattle, sheep, goats, pigs and horses. The Act, which came into effect on the 20th of May 2024, follows a consultation on ending live animal exports, in which 87% of respondents agreed livestock should not be exported for these purposes. Environment Secretary Steve Barclay said the government is proud to have some of the highest animal welfare standards in the world, and this law capitalises on the nation's newfound independence. A new act makes use of post-Brexit freedoms to deliver one of our manifesto commitments and strengthen these standards even further by preventing the export of live animals for slaughter and fattening, which we know causes animals unnecessary stress and injury. Adding his thoughts, the RSPCA's chief executive, Chris Sherwood, said the legislation is a big win after more than 50 years of campaigning. This means British animals will no longer be sent on grueling journeys abroad for further fattening and slaughter in cramped and poor conditions, with little or no access to food or water. As one of the first countries in the world to abolish this practice, this vital step for animal welfare sends an important message globally, and we hope to see other countries follow suit soon. Under this new rule, animals should only be transported when necessary, and if possible should not travel long distances to be slaughtered. Live exports in other specific circumstances, for example, for breeding and competitions, will still be allowed, provided animals are transported in line with legal requirements which protect their welfare. This new legislation is part of wider government plans to enhance UK animal standards, with GB already the highest ranking among G7 nations, according to the World Animal Protections Index. These plans follow the publication of the first Action Plan for Animal Welfare in 2021 and have since seen the UK government bring in new laws to recognise animal sentience, introduce tougher penalties for animal cruelty offences, announce an extension of the ivory ban to cover other ivory-bearing species, support for legislation to ban glue traps and the import of detached shark fins, alongside the introduction of measures to ban the advertising and offering for sale of low welfare activities abroad. The UK has also brought in additional rules for farm animals as of late, including new statutory welfare codes for pigs, laying hens and meat chickens, the prohibition of conventional battery cages for laying hens, and the mandatory rollout of CCTV within slaughterhouses. Leading F&B manufacturers Princes Group has confirmed that it is set to be sold to Italian firm Newlat Food. The deal, worth £700 million, will see Newlat acquire all Princes-related operations and brands from current owner Mitsubishi Corporation. Headquartered in Liverpool, Princes supplies grocery retailers across the UK and Europe with branded and own label products. Meanwhile, Newlat is an international agro-food group that produces and distributes dairy, baby food, pasta, bakery, gluten-free, instant hot snacks, and other specialty food products, operating in Italy, the UK, Germany, and France. Following the completion of the deal, Newlat and its group will become a new Princes Group, with Princes set to retain its identity and operate as a UK-based subsidiary. The newly formed group will have a global operating network of 31 factories, a portfolio across 10 distinct categories, and revenue of around €2.8 billion. Commenting on the news, Princes CEO Simon Harrison said, "This is an exciting prospect for Princes, and we are delighted that Newlat share our confidence in the group's strategic growth plans, brand strategy, operational excellence, and people culture. The intended sale remains an ongoing process, and further information will be shared in due course." Newlat Chair Angelo Viola added, "We are extremely proud to have agreed this transaction, marking a crucial milestone in our growth strategy. Princes Limited is a prestigious company, and integrating its operations with Newlat Food allows us to further solidify our position as a leader in the food sector. On closing of this acquisition, Newlat Food will become the largest food company listed on the Milan Stock Exchange, reinforcing its role as a key international player. The economic outlook of the new group gives us confidence in a future of sustainable growth, poised to create value for all stakeholders. The newly combined group will offer a broad range of high-quality products, addressing the needs of an increasingly demanding and diverse global market. This transaction enables us to enter new market segments and better serve our customers with an even more comprehensive, innovative, and unique product offering. The integration between Newlat Food and Princes Limited represents a significant opportunity for both companies to share expertise, resources, and synergies, contributing to a successful and mutually beneficial future. The mission of the new group remains to ensure continuous excellence and innovation, keeping customer satisfaction and sustainability at the forefront. UK potato supplier Branston has donated £10,000 to an agricultural college in Alito, Uganda, as part of a new joint venture. The college teaches farming skills to local people so that they are able to grow their own Irish potatoes, a variety that was not previously cultivated in the region. Once the first crop is grown, each student is given 5 kilograms of potatoes to take home following their graduation in the summer. In addition to the funding, Branston will support the college with the digging of 2,000 cubic metre lagoons for water irrigation, while it is also carrying out trials on a test site that could provide a teaching plot for students to learn about fertiliser planting densities and potato varieties. Interim project manager Branston Ian Arnold visited Alito to oversee the land preparation and planting, where more than 100 staff and students participated. Most of the potatoes planted were Rwambe, a variety developed specifically to be grown in Africa, but the team is also assessing two more common European varieties, Arizona and Marquise, to see how they fare in the Ugandan climate. This is a fantastic project and a great opportunity for us to give back to the local community at Alito and improve food security. Having access to affordable and nutritious food is crucial throughout the world, so we're delighted to be contributing to food security in Uganda. The college has mainly been training under 25s and their creativity has been brilliant, but the project is also focused on upskilling women in particular and even provides a creche for those with young children to be able to access education while their children are cared for. We've been committed to providing 3 years of training with the college, so we're eager to continue to help support and educate the Alito community over the next few years. Arnold added that Branston hopes to offer more of its team the chance to visit Alito over the next few years. It's a rewarding volunteering opportunity for people to learn more about how our work can help communities, and is an investment both professionally and personally. Kellanova has confirmed that its Kellogg's cereal factory in Manchester will close towards the end of 2026. The future of the 27-acre Trafford Park site was put into question in February 2024 when Kellanova first proposed its closure, and that decision has now been confirmed following formal talks with trade unions and employee representatives. The closure will lead to the loss of around 360 roles, with an agreement having been reached on an enhanced redundancy package, and that redeployment will be offered to all colleagues who want it and where it can be accommodated. Kellanova has cited the age of the factory, which has been operational for almost 90 years, and the amount of unused space in the building as the reasons for its closure. Further information about where production will be moved to will be shared later in the year. Reflecting on the decision, Kellanova UK Managing Director Chris Silcock said, "We want to acknowledge the professionalism of all colleagues at the factory during what we know have been some very difficult decisions. When we announced our proposal earlier this year, we said it had nothing to do with the outstanding people who work for us at the factory, and how everyone has chosen to conduct themselves over the last months has really brought this to life for us. However, we remain clear that this isn't a long-term future for the site. It's laid out in a way that made sense in the 1930s, with food travelling up and down 6 floors in a legacy manufacturing process. What's more, we only use half the space in the building, and the investment required to maintain the factory in the coming years is simply not viable. We understand confirmation of
something significant like a factory closure is never easy to hear, and we will try to make it as smooth as possible. That means we'll work with partners on things like outplacement support for our employees and for the community. We'll start to explore the long-term future of the site."
Greencore's profits rocketed in the first half of the 2024 financial year, with convenience foods manufacturer predicting its full-year results to be ahead of current market expectations. The group reported a 602% increase in group operating profits to £25.3 million for the half year ended 29th of March 2024, up from £3.6 million in the same period last year. Adjusted operating profit more than doubled, plus 139.8% to £28.3 million, while adjusted profit before tax jumped 397.1% to £16.9 million. Profit gains for the manufacturer came despite a 6.4% decrease in revenue for the half year, down to £866.1 million, due to a decision to exit a number of low margin contracts in the full year 2023 and the Trilby trading disposal. However, on a like-for-like basis, revenue growth was 4.1%, with a 1.2% increase from volume growth and mix impact. Based on these results, Greencore forecast that its full-year results would be ahead of market expectations, mean adjusted operating profits of £82.9 million and mean sales of £1.8 billion for 2024, supported by a new large ready meals contract win to be onboarded at its Kiveton site late in the fourth quarter. Commenting on the results, Chief Executive Dalton Phillips said the group's accelerating financial performance is very encouraging as we focus on driving profitability and returns. We have exited low-margin businesses and are undertaking a range of actions to increase the returns profile of each element of the portfolio. We have many opportunities to continue to grow business profitability and have commenced investing in our IT infrastructure to create a solid platform for growth and enable further efficiency gains across the group. Notwithstanding this additional investment, and while our seasonally stronger second half is still ahead of us,
We now expect a full year 2024 adjusted operating profit in a range of £86 to £88 million, ahead of current market expectations. Our strategic and operational highlights mentioned in the financial update included continued work to enhance performance across Greencore's manufacturing footprint, as well as plans to consolidate its soups business into a single site to provide efficiency gains.
UK consumers admit to being addicted to ultra-processed foods, UPFs, with a vast majority consuming them at least once a week, according to new research by healthy eating platform Lifesum. In a survey of 5,000 UK adults, 1 in 6, 17.1%, said they were addicted to UPFs, while almost a quarter admitted to eating UPFs at least once a day. A vast majority of respondents, 87.4%, said they ate UPFs at least once a week. Stress was the most common reason cited by respondents as the reason why they ate UPFs at 29.5%, followed closely by convenience at 28.8%, while time constraints came in at a distant third at 13.7%. Interestingly, personal preference was cited by just 5% of respondents as their reason for turning to UPFs. Despite stress being the most common reason for consumers turning to UPFs, more than three-quarters of those surveyed, 79.1%, said they had a negative impact on mood regulation. UK consumers also categorised UPFs as having a negative impact on energy levels at 76.8%, while nearly two-thirds said they had a negative impact on their cognitive function at 65.7%. While respondents linked UPFs to a series of negative impacts, almost three-quarters, 73.4%, said their employers had made them readily available to employees. Signe Sanfrent, lead nutritionist at Lifesum, said the research highlighted a need for informative warning labels on specific UPFs to empower individuals to make more conscious dietary decisions. Our research underscores the severity of ultra-processed food addiction and its impacts on health, both physically and mentally. These foods can lead to a variety of health issues such as obesity, heart disease, diabetes, and even certain types of cancers. Employers should prioritise promoting healthier eating habits to counter these effects and enhance employee well-being. The UK has moved a step closer to joining the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership (CPTPP) by ratifying its membership.
6 other countries also need to ratify the UK's membership by October 2024 in order for the deal to enter into force by the end of the year, with Singapore, Japan and Chile the only members to have already done so. The UK had expected the ratification process to take until July, but announced the news during a meeting with members of the group in Arequipa, Peru on the 17th of May. An initial deal for the UK to join the CPTPP was signed in July 2023, members of which include Australia, Brunei, Canada, Chile, Japan, Malaysia, Mexico, New Zealand, Peru, Singapore and Vietnam. Joining the pact will mean that 99% of current UK exports to CPTPP members will be eligible for tariff-free trade, with partnership encompassing 500 million consumers. In 2023, the UK exported £2.3 billion adjusted for current prices of food and drink to CPTPP countries. Meanwhile, the UK has also conducted negotiations on a double taxation agreement, DTA, with Peru, a deal that will protect businesses from being taxed twice while trading. Ahead of the 2-day visit to Peru, UK Government Minister for Trade Policy, Greg Hands, said the UK has been racing to get our ratification done because we know how much CPTPP will benefit British businesses, whether through access to new markets or cutting red tape on existing exports. I'm delighted we were able to bring this forward ahead of our original July forecast, so we can get the countdown to entry into force going as soon as possible. William Bain, Head of Trade Policy at the British Chambers of Commerce, welcomed the news that the UK had ratified its membership of the CPTPP. There are a few multinational trade agreements like this one. The UK's addition to this bloc will open up new opportunities for both inward and outward investment. Elsewhere, the Glasgow distillery founder, Liam Hughes, believes that the UK joining CPTPP will allow the firm to grow its exports in the region. Opening the markets to trade within the CPTPP bloc is a positive move forward for the Glasgow distillery. The opportunity this agreement provides will be particularly beneficial for our single malt Scotch whisky brand, Glasgow 1770, which will benefit directly from reduced tariffs in Malaysia, allowing us to explore this as a potential new market.
The UK's apprenticeship system is not working and leaving more than £4 billion that could have been used to train new apprentices on the table, claimed Fiona Graham, Chief Advocacy Officer at Family Business UK. Her comments follow the news that the number of new apprenticeships has fallen by up to 2/5 since the introduction of the government's levy system. We hear from family businesses daily how the system is too complicated, inflexible and burdensome. Family businesses want to train young people and upskill their workforces, but administrative complexities discourage businesses from taking on apprentices. Money, a staggering £4.4 billion that could be used for training, is instead returned to the Exchequer without being touched. Graham accused the current system of holding back the potential of businesses by failing to equip future workforces with the skills, training and support they need where they need it. To deliver a skills regime that is fit for the future, we need an overhaul of the employee training landscape by refocusing the apprenticeship levy and making the skills landscape work for businesses and individuals. The current skills and apprenticeship system needs to be revamped and replaced with a more holistic Future Skills Fund. This revamped Future Skills Fund would provide greater flexibility on how money could be used to encompass apprenticeship support, training and development for existing employees. It would also allow businesses to use the allocated funding on a wider range of training options and opportunities. Transitioning for a Future Skills Fund would also give businesses greater flexibility and opportunity to use funding for the skills and technical expertise they need. It would better equip local schools and colleges to provide training and skills relevant to the needs of local employers and communities. Graham concluded by outlining a number of ways in which the fund could be used to provide a better deal for employees and employers. This included support for transport or living costs, removing barriers between national of the UK to ensure money is spent where it is most needed, giving businesses a greater say in the development of the local skills landscape, and supporting career-long skills development and learning, including when re-entering the workforce after a period of absence. The food and non-alcoholic beverages inflation rate fell for the 13th consecutive month during April 2024. According to new figures from the Office for National Statistics, ONS, the inflation rate, which features the change in food and drink prices over the past 12 months, was calculated as 2.9% for April 2024, down from 4% in March. This figure represents the first time that F&B inflation has fallen below 3% since November 2021. Between March and April, prices rose by 0.3%, compared with a monthly increase of 1.4% a year ago, while prices have risen by around 2% since May 2023. The annual rates for 8 of the 11 food and non-alcoholic beverages classes eased between March and April, with the exceptions being oils and fats, fish and hot beverages. The main downward effects came from a combination of bread and cereals, meat, dairy products, vegetables and soft drinks. In response to the April figures, the Food and Drink Federation CEO Karen Betts said the continued fall in food and non-alcoholic drink innovation.
Inflation is good news for households and for food and drink businesses. There remains risks including geopolitical events impacting shipping and oil prices, and changing weather patterns impacting harvests globally, but manufacturers and the food system more broadly are continuing to shield shoppers successfully from this volatility. We continue to actively engage government to ensure they play their part in ensuring food and drink price inflation continues to fall. Plans for not for EU food labelling in Great Britain will push up prices, inhibit growth and cause a drag on investment in our sector. New border checks are pushing up costs, particularly for smaller manufacturers and food businesses, and chaotic government guidance is heaping pressure on business owners. The government has a duty to shoppers to fix these issues in a constructive way, and to ensure they are not responsible for self-inflicted economic damage in communities.
Christine Taken is to step down as Red Tractor chair to avoid a potential conflict of interest related to her recent appointment to the board of retailer The Co-op. The former Groceries Code adjudicator was elected to the board by Co-op members last weekend and had previously headed the group's farming operations between 2000 and 2012. While previous Red Tractor chairs have held other positions in the food industry simultaneously, recent reservations over supermarket power in general and general lack of trust in the insurance programme from some quarters sparked Taken's decision to relinquish her position. Aware of these concerns, I raised my possible appointment proactively with Red Tractor's ownership body, and we mutually agreed it would be better for me to step down from Red Tractor if I got the role. I would like to make it very clear that this is not a move I welcome in any way. I would have far preferred to carry on supporting Red Tractor at such a critical point. I'm also confident I could have executed both roles without compromising either organisation. However, I do not want the risk giving oxygen to those intent on criticising Red Tractor, or for this to be the cause of any negative publicity. Taken has offered to stay on in her role as chair at Red Tractor's discretion until a new or interim chair is appointed. Despite current bumps in the road, Red Tractor is a unique and valuable asset to us all, from farm to fork, she concluded. There are issues that need addressing, and believe me, this is happening. But it is incumbent on all of us
to see the enormous opportunities and value presented by Red Tractor and work together to ensure it is there for us all for the future.
Good Guys Bakehouse, founded by ex-United Biscuits General Manager Steve Monk, has raised £550,000 to fuel retail growth for its biscuit range. The UK business has secured 3 major FMCG angel investors in Nick Bunker, non-executive chair of Spar Retail UK and ex-MD of Pladis UK and KP Snacks, David Bell, chair of Hackney Gelato and ex-VP of Sales at Mars UK, and Tom Carroll, previously COO of Grays. The funds will be used to increase marketing to support new and trial listings, drive new product development, and expand the team. This follows Good Guys Bakehouse's retail debut in 2022, with its cheddar and peppered varieties of biscuits hitting Sainsbury's shelves weeks before Christmas. At the time, founder Steve Monk had said the brand had been set up to bring much-needed innovation to the savoury biscuit aisle that was crowded with calorific options. 2 years later, Monk says the brand has successfully disrupted an ageing savoury biscuits category, having also secured shelf space in Ocado. There's a clear consumer appetite for tastier and healthier savoury snack biscuits, baked with more cheese than the leading cheese biscuits brand, but with only 5 calories per biscuit. Now, with successful investment round complete, we are in a strong position to scale up our grocery presence in the UK, driving distribution and opening up new listings. In addition, we'll be ramping up our marketing efforts, building the team and growing our product range as we head into the second half of 2024. Bunker, who has joined the team as a non-executive director, added, "Over the course of my career, I've been involved with a number of brands that have demonstrated genuine potential to go the distance. Good Guys is one of them. This raised a significant milestone in the brand's mission to shake up the savoury biscuits category. And with Steve at the helm, we are on course to make Good Guys Bakehouse a household name in the UK and beyond." Monk concluded, "As a brand, we have an opportunity to reinvigorate the savoury biscuits category with a new and exciting product proposition. And with the backing of high-caliber industry investors, we are perfectly poised to do this." Whisky Partners have opened a new bonded warehouse in Alloa, Scotland. Specialists in the whisky investment and acquisition sector, Whisky Partners invested a 7-figure sum into the new warehouse. The move marks the beginning of a long-term project with the goal of making whisky investment and acquisition simpler and includes plans to purchase additional warehouses in the future. The new site, set to be operational by the 1st of June 2024, plays into the firm's commitment to making whisky casks more accessible as a commodity. With this investment, Whisky Partners aims to break down barriers that have made purchasing and holding casks more challenging compared to other assets such as wine. The opening of the bonded warehouse also coincides with the upcoming launch of the firm's Decant Index, a proprietary technology platform revolutionising the industry's standards for customer engagement and transparency. This technology not only offers clients an end-to-end perspective from cask, but also seeks to offer private clients greater levels of transparency when purchasing casks and bottles in bond. Owning its own maturation warehouse allows for the potential to further advance technological growth. Commenting on the opening of the new warehouse, Whisky Partners founder Alistair Moncrief said, "We are thrilled to announce the launch of our new bonded warehouse in Alloa. At Whisky Partners, we were founded on the principle of private clients investing in the maturation process of whisky casks. We have over 22,000 casks maturing in Scotland. The investment market for spirits is rapidly expanding, and we want to lead the way with technology. We are committed to offering accessible avenues for investors, and our focus on innovation and technology ensures that clients can confidently navigate this market to maximise their investment potential." Global F&B firm PepsiCo has announced an £8 million investment into its Piper's Crisp manufacturing site in Brigg, Lincolnshire. The funding, which coincides with the 20th anniversary of Piper's, will boost production capacity at the site by nearly 80%, thanks to a replacement of existing crisp fryers with new energy-efficient models and the installation of new packaging machines. The new fryers will help reduce the site's greenhouse gas emissions by over 200 tonnes per year and contribute to PepsiCo's PEP Plus commitment to target an absolute reduction in emissions across its value chain by more than 40% by 2030, reaching net zero emissions by 2040. The investment will also go towards upgrading facilities for the factory's 100 employees, including improvements to workspaces and staff changing rooms. PepsiCo acquired Piper's in 2019, and the brand has since grown to become the #1 premium crisp brand in the away-from-home category. During that time, sales have doubled, and the improvements to the site should enable the brand to meet growing demand. Originally available in small independent pubs, bars, cafes, and farm shops, Piper's has expanded its distribution network to include national wholesalers such as Booker, Brakes and Bidfood, alongside hospitality operators Mitchell and Butlers, Stonegate and Youngs to bring its quality crisps to people in a variety of locations across the UK. Meanwhile, the brand's export business is now worth more than £2 million, shipping to countries including France, Italy and across Scandinavia, while it is also targeting further export opportunities across the Middle East, China and Japan. Commenting on the announcement, Piper's head of operations, Merjan Fogarty, said Piper's is as much a loved brand with a rich heritage, and we're delighted in making this investment at such an exciting stage in our journey. From small independent pubs, cafes and farm shops to working with some of the UK's biggest wholesalers and hospitality operators, the funding will help us bring our delicious crisps to more people wherever they are and expand our brand internationally. With Piper's 20th birthday fast approaching, I'm looking forward to the next phase of our growth. In addition to Piper's, PepsiCo owns UK food brands such as Walker's, Doritos, Quavers, Wotsits, Monster Munch and Quaker Oats. Food and drink manufacturers have access to more data than ever before, but utilising it in a way that helps drive productivity and business growth remains a challenge. In a wide-ranging discussion, Holmes' Senior Advisor for Supply Chain at InterSystems, Ian Walker, Director of Industry Engagement at GS1 UK, Tom Hollands, Innovation and Technical Director at Foods, and Yitzhak Grant, Client Solutions Director at FutureBridge, shared their analysis, offered advice to manufacturers and forecasted how data could change the sector moving forward.
The panel considered where and why data is produced and compiled in modern food and drink manufacturing processes. Data as a term is really quite broad, Holmes said, but we should look at it across the ecosystem of supply chain, the whole value stream, whether it is coming from suppliers, logistics providers, internal systems or customers' demand points. It really encompasses all internal and external processes within F&B. Walker echoed Holmes' point before making the important differentiation between common and unique data. A common data set will have relevance across the supply chain rather than just to a single organisation, but it requires collaboration. Offering the perspective of a food manufacturing company, Hollands explained that data is amassed in order to record something, whether that be a specification, metric or customer. The food industry is really good at collecting data,
but we are not so good at making the most of it. Grant continued at this point, stating that given that so many processes have become digitised, data can be collected at every step along the supply chain. In a world where I can know anything, what it is like that I really need to know in order to deliver on a business need. An example of how Rainer Foods is looking to put data to work is by measuring all the CO2 emissions utilisations across the entire business and then using technology to create better insights with the results. We've experimented with different bits of technology such as AI to look for patterns and create more value from our data. Holmes added that he has heard from F&B industry figures that much of the data they are collecting is not harmonised and normalised or real-time, which makes creating intelligent insights difficult. Responding to Holmes' point, Walker explained that the proliferation of data is both an opportunity and a challenge. The ability to sell products to consumers, reduce waste and lower costs are the driving force here. So amid this proliferation of data, we need to pick out the bits that really matter and minimise duplication. We also need to step back a minute and look at the new business models and new ways of working that access to data can unlock, noting that the impact of data on more traditional operational models is more limited.
The panel also tackled the central question of driving productivity
and cutting costs through the use of data. Holmes started by explaining that too many firms still use Excel spreadsheets instead of technology that can automate processes and allow for real-time, return on investment-based decision-making. He explained technology can be applied to CO2 decisions to around optimizing transportation, while also delivering on-shelf availability, and then with AI, you need quality data to drive these tools. Digital technology reduces the cost of gathering data and finds ways that it can be leveraged. He used the example of measuring a machine's energy usage, where the data collection and distillation can now be automated. The team can then act on the advice of the tools to reduce energy consumption, which cuts costs, makes the plant more efficient, and reduces the lag time throughout. Looking ahead, Grant predicted that the factory of the near future could look rather different, with AI-assisted automated processing and smart production lines, allowing factory manufacturers to oversee operations from home using a computer. The future is coming and it is very exciting, but it's about how to automate the processing of the data and the changes that are needed to deliver on the savings. Despite the possibilities for progress, Holmes emphasised that data still remains an issue for many firms in food and drink. They spoke to a company that was having issues with on-shelf availability because their system thinks there is not enough of a certain product, but this is a result of a spelling mistake on a separate enterprise system. He recalled, "We've learnt that we need to use technology differently so that data is optimised quickly and accurately." Grant then highlighted that historical data is not offering decision makers with useful insights because of the current rate of change within the industry, exemplifying the importance of the real-time insights cited by other panel members. While Walker and Holland discussed the need for collaboration both internally and across the sector, so that data access and utilisation can be improved, we need to get buy-in from the workforce because there are concerns about unemployment, especially around automation. Walker added, "Amid so much data, we need to find common ways of doing things to ensure transparency and traceability. We need interoperability. That means that the data is working for us rather than us working for the data." UK cultivated meat firm Ivy Farm Technologies has formed an exclusive scale-up and manufacturing partnership with Finnish company Symbio Power Labs. The collaboration will grant Ivy Farm access to Symbio's Food Innovation Hub near Helsinki, which is due to open in early 2025, where it hopes to demonstrate the scalability of its range of cultivated meat products. Symbio is still in the process of completing work on the hub after receiving €2.99 million in funding from the Finnish government, but once opened it will be used to help scale production capabilities of startups operating across precision fermentation, biomass fermentation and cultivated meat. Possessing pilot scale equipment and production scales 10,000 litres and 27,000 litres, the hub will also boast 6 250,000 litre manufacturing vessels. The new partnership was publicly announced at Iceland Innovation Week, where Ivy Farm co-hosted the first ever tasting of cultivated beef in the Nordic region with ORF Genetics. The event, which was attended by Icelandic government officials and other figures within food tech, saw Ivy Farm offer its cultivated Angus beef to a select group of tasters, a preliminary step before the technology can be legalised. Commenting on the partnership, Ivy Farm CEO Richard Dillon said the partnership with Symbio Power Labs represents a significant milestone for Ivy Farm and our ambitions to scale cultivated meat. By leveraging Symbio Power Labs' expertise and cutting-edge facilities, we are de-risking our scale-up journey with a CapEx-light approach. Ivy Farm is committed to partnering with fermentation experts and licensing our technology in order to accelerate the transition to cultivated meat globally. Meanwhile, Symbio Chair Alexandro Antalak added, "Through this partnership with Ivy Farm Technologies, we aim to pioneer a new frontier in high-quality food manufacturing by harnessing the potential of mammalian cells within larger fermenters, offering sustainable solutions that meet the growing demands of a rapidly expanding population. By converging our cutting-edge technology and innovative thinking, we are not only revolutionizing the way meat is produced, but also paving the way for a more efficient, scalable, and environmentally friendly approach to mass-scale food production. Together with Ivy Farm Technologies, we are committed to pushing the boundaries of what is possible and shaping the future of food." Premier Foods has released its financial results for the 52 weeks to the 30th of March 2024. According to the figures, Premier Foods saw headline revenue rise by 15.1% year-on-year and brand revenue increased 13.5% after a strong Q4. Meanwhile, headline grocery revenue and sweet treats revenue rose by 16.7% and 10.6% respectively. This all translated to 14% growth in trading profit, which was ahead of expectations, and a profit after tax figure for the fiscal year of £112.5 million. The food manufacturer has also increased its market share by 29 basis points over the full year based on Circana data. Commenting on the results, Premier Foods CEO Alex Whitehouse said that the firm had experienced considerable progress in all of its key financial metrics and against its 5-pillar growth strategy. Our brands continue to demonstrate their relevance to consumers, helping them cook and prepare nutritious and affordable meals during what has been a challenging time for many people. We continue to invest in our manufacturing sites, with CapEx stepping up as planned to £33 million as we invest in driving efficiencies and facilitating growth through product innovation. We are also delighted to acquire Fuel 10K, which is now fully integrated into the core business. It's performing very well and for which we have exciting future plans. Whitehouse noted that the firm has continued to maintain financial discipline, enabling it to increase its dividend per share to 1.728 pence, a rise of 20%. He continued, recently announced the suspension of pension deficit contributions, significantly increasing our free cash flow, which enhances our ability to invest in infrastructure and pursue M&A opportunities to deliver future growth. We have a strong set of plans for this year across each of our strategic pillars. With our return to volume growth, we are on track to deliver on full-year expectations. Employing 4,000 people across 15 sites, Premier Foods owns brands such as Ambrosia, Batchelors, Bisto, Lloyd Grossman, Mr. Kipling, Oxo and Charwoods. Deans of Huntly is using a trade finance provided by Virgin Money and guaranteed by UK Export Finance to meet overseas demand as far afield as Australia and China. The family-owned manufacturer already exports branded and own brand premium shortbread to overseas markets including Germany, the US, Australia and China. But with occasions such as Christmas, Valentine's, Mother's Day and Chinese New Year driving seasonal spikes, the company needed additional capital to deliver to demand. UK Export Finance UKEF helped Deans of to secure Virgin Money financing with a guarantee offered through its General Export Facility (GEF) product. This has so far helped UK exporters to access more than £325 million in new working capital loans since its launch in 2020. GEF funding was agreed in 2023 and Deans has since been able to ramp up its production to make seasonal shipments and produce special edition tins such as the one.
The GEF facility has helped us manage the working capital implications of large export orders within
the time it takes to ship products. It can take 3 to 4 months to get payment from when the shortbread was made and shipped, explained the shortbread producer's CEO Bill Dean. The functionality of GEF is in being able to draw down what we need when we need it, and then pay it all back when we don't need it. It has enabled us to pursue more customers in the US as well as expand in the Far East and Europe. The new financing also supports Dean's ambition to invest in new equipment and create new roles at the firm, up to 20 jobs. The flexibility of what you can see and use the GEF for means we can use it to fund overseas sales, but also take on new people and invest in new equipment to improve processes and reduce environmental impact as well. Tim Reed, CEO at UKEF, added, Dean's has a distinctly Scottish product which is much loved around the world, and our support is helping them to enjoy continued export success. The overwhelming majority of UKEF's
deals support smaller businesses like Dean's, ensuring that entrepreneurs from all over the country can benefit from international trade. UKEF has previously supported Scottish food and drink firms, including Organics Distillery and Neil, and seafood exporter Denholm Seafoods, with the Export Credit Agency able to fast-track applications for financing facilities worth up to £10 million. The agency recently outlined its latest ambitions for supporting UK exporters in its 2024 to 2029 business plan, including a commitment to help companies across the United Kingdom win more than £12.5 billion in new contracts by 2029. In collaboration with the Department for Business and Trade, British Business Bank and
Chambers of Commerce, UKEF has also set out ambitions to support 1,000 SMEs in the next 5 years. There is currently a huge amount of variation in the nutritional qualities of plant-based products in the UK market, a new study has found. Researchers from the Codrime Institute, a Centre for Food and Health Research based in Norwich, carried out a comprehensive survey of the nutritional quality of plant-based products on sale in the UK, which looked at 2,695 plant-based products and comparing them with their animal-based counterparts. Dr. Maria Tracker and her team in the Food and Nutrition National Bioscience Research Infrastructure and BRI found that on average plant-based products were higher in fibre but lower in protein. However, the level of variation in nutritional value across the plant-based market means that concrete conclusions were difficult to draw. The 2,695 products that were surveyed included plant-based drinks, sausages, cheese, and meat-free beef, chicken and fish, as well as 446 plant-based ready meals. To address the lesser amount of protein in plant-based products, researchers said that innovations in protein sources, processing and absorption could offer solutions. They also noted that most adults currently get enough protein in their diet, while most do not get enough fibre. Meanwhile, the researchers advocated for adding vitamins and essential minerals to plant-based products, a practice which does take place but not on a widespread basis. Vitamin B12, the most widely supplemented nutrient, followed by calcium, vitamin D and iron, but B12 is only added to 15% plant-based products. Overall, we've identified trends that plant-based foods are higher in fibre and lower in protein, but we can't give an overall blanket answer to whether plant-based food products are healthier than their animal-based counterparts. This very much depends on each product's formulation, so it's important that manufacturers provide this information and share it correctly with consumers
so that they can make an informed decision. Meanwhile, first author of the study, Dr. Lixing Zhang, added, currently there is a large amount of variation in how healthy these products are, but this presents an opportunity for food manufacturers to up their game and improve their formulations, including through fortification with essential vitamins and minerals.
Scottish brewer Tennent's has announced plans to close its Newbridge site in Edinburgh. On the 15th of May 2024, the historic lager brand said it was planning to transfer operations from its distribution depot in Newbridge, where it has operated since 2020, to another facility in Cambuslang on the outskirts of Glasgow in order to service its customers more effectively. The spokesperson for C&C Group, the parent company of Tennent's, said that the majority of colleagues impacted by this proposal are being offered alternative employment, and that a consultation process was now underway as the firm looks to provide all necessary support and minimise any job losses. This proposal to transfer our distribution operation from Newbridge to Cambuslang is expected to conclude by the end of June 2024, with no anticipated impact on customer service. Tennent's confirmed that 42 jobs are being made available at the Cambuslang facility, while according to Unite the Union, 96 people are employed at the depot in Edinburgh. The trade union has criticised the decision both for the likely job losses involved and because of the 40 miles in distance between the two sites. As a result, General Secretary Sharon Graham said that Unite was prepared to pursue every avenue to stop the proposed closure of the Newbridge facility. Tennent's, which is Scotland's largest beer company, is a subsidiary of the very profitable C&C Group plc. This is an extremely premature decision. We will leave no stone unturned in an effort to keep jobs at Newbridge. Meanwhile, Pat Egan, Unite Industrial Officer, added, this is devastating news for the workforce at Tennent's Newbridge. The company promised that having a facility in Edinburgh was only the start of its expansion. The site has only been operating for a few years, and it's a cruel blow that 96 workers are facing redundancies. Unite is demanding urgent meetings with Tennent's so that we can develop a strategy
to save the plant.
Vital Meat has submitted its novel foods dossier to regulatory bodies in the UK as it seeks approval for its cultivated meat products. The French firm filed the dossier to the Food Standards Agency, FSA, and Food Standards Scotland, FSS, on the 17th of May 2024, which it hopes will lead to its products being made legal for sale in the UK. The submission marks the start of a process that could take up to 2 years to complete, where the FSA and FSS will assess Vital Meat's dossier before deciding on whether its cultivated chicken products will be made legal for sale in England, Wales and Scotland. Vital Meat submitted an application in Singapore, where cultivated meat is legal in 2023, and hopes to become the first European manufacturer to be approved.
The regulatory expert at Vital Meat explained that the process in Singapore has been very smooth so far. The decision to expand into the UK swiftly follows our Singaporean endeavour,
said Vital Meat COO Olivier Destalans. Asia, and particularly Singapore, is an important market for us, with consumers that are open to new foods and a business ecosystem open to innovation. We can't wait to start commercialisation in Great Britain, added CEO Etienne de Thoet. Chicken is one of the most consumed meat over there. We are now preparing our launch in 2025 and looking for food partners. We are very confident and are already collaborating with a Singaporean chef as well as food companies to prepare for the market launch as soon as the approval is granted. The cultivated chicken developed by Vital Meat is GMO and antibiotic free, and if approved, will provide an ingredient to food companies looking to add the true taste of chicken to their plant-based recipes. Health is of paramount importance to us. We are committed to not using antibiotics or any other controversial ingredient, such as fetal bovine serum or any other animal product. That's why we are confident that our commitment to safety and sustainability will be rewarded. Leadership coach Amy Wilkinson gives top tips to help you build your conversation confidence and help you forge meaningful connections at food and drink business events. The ability to confidently network can really set you apart as a leader in the food and drink space. It not only helps you connect with potential mentors, but it will also give you fresh perspectives that can help you become a stronger leader. For many of us, the idea of networking is pretty terrifying and can become a massive blocker to career development and also to our influence in the industry. This is why we came up with the concept for Nourish Your Network events, which are less warm wine and small talk and more curious conversations and cake. The first session was held at Sainsbury's Holborn office and was a great success. At the event, we shared neuroscience behind why networking can be scary for some and not for others. Importantly, we also delved into what you can do about it. Broadly, our brains want to keep us safe, and that can create a fear of rejection, which makes some people feel really nervous in these situations. Here, they've encapsulated some of the key takeaways from that session into 5 digestible tips that will help you network more effectively, especially if the thought of it makes you want to run and hide. 1. Reframe the word networking. As soon as we call something networking, it can feel more pressurized than it needs to be. Reframing it as an interesting conversation or finding out something new about other people can really help. Take the focus off yourself and what you're going to say and get curious about other people. In fact, the ability to ask a lot of questions and to listen intently to the answers is a great way to become a successful networker without feeling like the spotlight is all on you. 2. Rehearse if you need to. We've all heard that we need to have an elevator pitch about ourselves, which, just like the word networking, may fill us with fear. The fear that people won't find what we have to say about ourselves that interesting. Rehearsing ahead of time can help the conversation flow on the day and have 3 topics up sleeve to keep the conversation flowing. 3. Be intentional. Going into a networking session, it can be helpful to set yourself a goal of the number of people you will talk to, particularly if you're prone to finding one person to talk to and sticking with them for the whole event. If you know who's attending beforehand, make a mental note of who you would like to connect with and make special efforts to speak to them. 4. Have an engagement strategy. Find yourself a networking partner to attend events with if it feels too much to attend alone. You can spur each other on and make the experience less daunting, but be aware of the risk of standing in the corner and not talking to anyone else. If you're attending alone and concerned about walking up to a group of strangers, look out for and approach groups of 3. It's much easier to join a conversation that way than trying to break into a one-to-one conversation or a large group. You'll often find the third wheel in the conversation is glad of someone else to talk to. 5. Look for everyday networking opportunities. Not all of us are made for the big in-person networking events. Whilst it's important to be able to hold your own in these conversations and situations, there are plenty of other ways to build your network. The world of remote and hybrid working has made it easier than ever to have a virtual cuppa with people with you who meet online. If one-to-one conversation feels more natural to you, this can be a great way to build your network with no warm wine and awkward conversations in sight. And follow up with people. Once you've braved the big or small networking event, do make sure to follow up with the contacts that you met.
Connect with them on LinkedIn, send them a quick message, and if there was something you talked about that could be mutually beneficial to both of you, then
offer a follow-up call or meetup. Nourishing your network is an outgoing activity and is much more than attending a one-off networking event. It's about having nourished conversations that can open doors. In the fast-moving world of food, where innovation and collaboration are key to staying ahead, the art of networking cannot be overlooked. Building connections within the industry is a continuously process that requires curiosity, intentionality, and follow-through. Whether they're through a casual virtual cuppa or a strategically attended event, each interaction is a step towards strengthening your leadership and enhancing your influence in the food industry. Embrace these opportunities and see where their enriched network can lead you in your career. The free-to-use open-source platform allows users to identify specific climate risks across the globe whilst providing mitigating actions farmers can take to lessen impact and improve yields in the future. In the UK, England experienced the second wettest 6-month period on record between October 2023 and March 2024. Rainfall was almost 6% above the 10-year average. This is having a devastating impact on farming, with UK farmers having to deal with soil erosion, crop damage and flooding. In 2021, the UK Food Security Report named climate change as the biggest medium to long-term risk to its domestic production. Whilst you could argue that global warming has more recently been making itself felt in the UK, the impact in other regions has been evident for some time, and scientists have been warning us for even longer. In 1938, a steam engineer by the name of Guy Callendar claimed that global temperatures had risen 0.3 centigrade over the previous 50 years. Although he did his calculations by hand, his estimates turned out to be remarkably accurate. The reality is that this is the world's biggest challenge right now and in the future, with the possibility of exposing millions of people worldwide to acute food insecurity. We're seeing so much more disruption in supply chains from climate change. Margaret Henry, PepsiCo's Vice President of Sustainable and Regenerative Agriculture, agreed. And the knock-on effect from this has been farmers asking the business, what can you as our partner do for us? So that's what the business set out to achieve. However, it wasn't an overnight solution as Henry described. A more proactive tool around climate was required. Henry said it became apparent that there was a gap in the market. She explained that many of the platforms were costly, limited in their projection time span, and very general. While you could probably ascertain a 50-year projection, it really didn't hold much tangible information. but what does it mean to me and what does it mean to any farmer? How do I tell them what's coming? We needed to understand the risks facing farmers and the risks around the world in the near term and long term. This sparked PepsiCo's climate risk platform CRP, which the business began working on in February 2020, a tool that doesn't just identify where risks are occurring geographically, but also helps provide positive climate action against those risks. CRP is essentially our way to understand how we can partner with farmers and others in our supply chains to keep farmers farming and to keep our supplies of products strong. That's the very nutshell. Leveraging the crop research from the Alliance of Biodiversity International and research organisation CIAT, the platform provides users with the ability to dive into the climate risk posed on crops within their respective growing regions. The platform assesses current and future climate states and provides probabilities of extreme events such as heat stress, frost risk, extreme rainfall and drought. The yield risk to that crop is then predicted. But we wanted to know what are the right practices for farmers, added Henry. So what should you do about this? And so the tool does that. In a demonstration of the platform, Andre Eitner, PepsiCo's Director for Global Climate Action, Agriculture and Europe Positive Agriculture, has showed that the tool identifies risks to the select crops in the selected region and then makes suggestions on actions that will alleviate that risk. It then further illustrates the power of action compared to none. This is broken down into 3 divisions: baseline, do nothing scenario 2030 and resilient scenario 2030. This is not a weather forecasting tool for the next few weeks. It's not about the next season crop modelling. It's about where do we need to place our big strategic plans in terms of infrastructure and investment. PepsiCo is now using the tool worldwide, expanding into different regions and scaling up its crop repertoire. But the initial focus was on Southeast Asia, which the business had identified as a place it sourced from that was particularly at risk of climate change. The company teamed up with German development agency GIZ to introduce the tool and demonstrate farms to rice farmers in Southeast Asia. Together, the team identified specific agricultural practices that would help farmers adapt to local changes in climate. Over 2 years, the tool boosted farmers' incomes while also cutting down greenhouse gas emissions and improving soil quality. Using insights leveraged through the CRP, PepsiCo says the farmers it worked with in Thailand were able to improve their livelihoods by 32%. Whilst PepsiCo has the capital to invest in creating its own platform that plugged the gaps, Henry referenced earlier, she said the business recognised that others did not have that luxury. With 9 crops available, CRP is now a free open source resource that PepsiCo hopes other businesses will expand upon. Time is far too short for this kind of information to be siloed, too short for this to be information that is only accessible if you can pay for it, Henry commented. This information needs to be available to absolutely everyone who can and should take action to secure the future of our food systems. Our hope is that it continues to grow, others can come in and they can expand the geographies, they can expand the crops so that it can be usable by many other farmers and companies around the world. This is not the first time that PepsiCo has helped create a free-to-use platform, with the CRP following previous work to help farmers grow the perfect oat. For this, its R&D agricultural science team, alongside several partners, developed foundational knowledge of
physiology and agronomy to support farmers to create what is now known as the Quaker Oat Growth Guide. This guide shows growers how they can optimize their management practices to improve yields and efficiency, ensuring a more sustainable, high-quality supply of oats to consumers. PepsiCo said it made a deliberate decision to publish the Oat Growth Guide externally to raise the bar on sustainable oat production across the industry and provide an intensive knowledge base for the next generation of crop scientists.
New dates for industrial action by workers at a GXO logistics facility in London have been announced. Unite the Union confirmed that strike action involving warehouse workers and delivery drivers at GXO's Feltham site in West London will take place from the 28th of May until the 18th of June in response to what the trade union described as alarmingly low pay. The new dates have been announced to include weekend shifts, which Unite said could result in a further disruption to food distribution across London. However, GXO said that it does not anticipate any disruptions as a result of the strikes. According to Unite, warehouse workers at the Feltham site are paid less than the London living wage at just over £12 per hour, while it claims that delivery drivers are paid below the market rate. Commenting on the decision to initiate strike action, Unite General Secretary Sharon Graham said, "Out of sheer greed, this multi-billion-pound company is refusing to pay its workers the living wage. Unite puts the jobs paying conditions of its members first, and the workers at GXO in Feltham will receive the union's unyielding support. In response, a GXO spokesperson said, "We are currently in the process with ACAS and Unite and have already made an enhanced offer as part of these negotiations. We are disappointed that this offer has not been communicated to our colleagues, and we will continue to work with ACAS and Unite to find a solution, but are confident we can mitigate the impact of any industrial actions." Global F&B firm Tate & Lyle is set to sell its 49.7% stake in ingredients producer Primient in a deal worth $350 million.
Tate & has agreed to sell to private equity firm KPS, which will own 100% of Primient once the deal is completed. Based in Illinois, USA, Primient manufactures food and industrial ingredients made from plant-based and renewable resources. With more than 100 years of experience in the sector, its ingredients have applications across categories such as carbonated beverages, confectionery products, packaging applications, and animal feed. The firm, which employs approximately 1,800 people across 6 manufacturing facilities in the US and Brazil, was formerly known as Tate & Lyle Primary Products until KPS acquired a controlling stake in April 2022. KPS and Tate & Lyle expect to finalize the transaction by the end of July 2024. Commenting on the deal, KPS co-founder Michael Saros said Primient's performance has exceeded our expectations, and the second investment represents KPS' continued commitment to Primient, its customers and employees. Under our ownership, Primient will continue to modernize its operations, supporting growth initiatives and industry-leading sustainability practices. We intend to make further strategic investments to strengthen Primient's role within the corn milling industry and the broader bioeconomy. Meanwhile, Primient CEO Jim Stuttelberg added, "Since KPS acquired Primient, I am incredibly proud of the tremendous progress we made on our priorities of providing high-quality products and services to our customers and creating a safer workplace for our employees. Over the past 2 years, we have worked extensively with KPS to develop and execute our modernization and growth strategy to empower Primient to meet customer needs today and in the future. With strong KPS support, we are executing on more than $700 million in capital investments over the next 5 years to ensure the highest quality and most reliable production in the industry for decades to come. We believe the scale of our planned investments is unmatched in our industry and will position Primient to win new opportunities to serve the bioeconomy."
Diageo has announced plans to replace glass bottles of Baileys with paper-based packaging on a trial basis. In partnership with PA Consulting as part of the Bottle Collective with PA and PulpPack, Diageo will trial a dry moulded fibre bottle, which is 90% paper with a thin plastic liner and a foil seal. The 2,000 bottle trial with consumers will be applied on the Baileys mini format 80ml at Time Out Festival in Barcelona, Spain, which takes place between the 25th and 26th of May. This is the first trial of its nature that Diageo has authorised and will test how the bottles travel from the Baileys filling site in Ireland to Spain. Paper bottles have adopted by a number of drinks manufacturers in the UK already, with Aldi switching its entire own brand wine range to Frugal Pack designed bottles in March 2024. Commenting on the move, Diageo Chief Sustainability Officer Ewan Andrew said, "When it comes to our packaging, we're taking an approach of progress over perfection, knowing our packaging will need to evolve along with consumer needs and technological advancements. The consumer is becoming more sustainability savvy, and we believe we can meet that need using our design and innovation to bring premium products and more sustainable solutions together." Meanwhile, design and innovation expert at PA Jamie Stone said the firm was delighted to see Diageo trialling its paper bottles across the Baileys mini format. Dry moulded fibre bottles are a huge step forward, setting new standards in the world of more sustainable packaging. But this is only the beginning. PulpPack's dry moulded fibre technology has immense potential. Not only is it water-saving, energy efficient and recyclable, but it is also viable at commercial manufacturing speeds and scale. Working with Diageo and other organisations through our Bottle and Blister Pack collectives has enabled us to pool resources and dramatically accelerate the time to market for this important innovation.